Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Clutch Drop Cup Series. Today is going to be round number 6 as we're coming to Kansas for a night race. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is going to be Warren Keith. And Warren, we're watching these drivers run around here at Kansas during practice, and it's looking like tires are going to be the main issue here today.
Yeah, tires is definitely going to be the main issue. And, you know, a track like Kansas, it's not too bad on tires, but again, these are open setup cars, so it depends on the setup, on how these drivers drive their cars. We know that tires here, not big of an issue with the resurfacing. We'll have to see tonight, though, with only 3 sets, just who takes care of their tires longest and who holds on the most.
3 sets for 160 laps. It's going to be a long one for these drivers as they're getting set up and gridded up for today's race. As we take a look here at the starting grid, starting on the pole position, it's going to be Landon Allers in the 33 machine, and on his outside, it's going to be Jason Warren in the 32.
Yeah, then row 2, you have Garrett Powell, followed by Dylan Stipe, going to be row 2, and then row 3 is Deshaun Gorham and Bronson Stafford.
Bronson Stafford, part of that Luminary crew last week that absolutely came out of nowhere with their debut, and wondering if Bronson's going to be bringing even more heat, and then drop back to 7th place. You got Travis Daly and Tom Bourne in that 54 machine. Drop back to 9th place. You've got Justin Belmonte, and Belmonte last week got his first stage win at Dover, looking to get another stage win here at Kansas and maybe a win. And on his outside, you've got Philip Scott.
Yeah, just outside the top 10, Spencer Harrison and Tristan Maher, followed by Nick King, Shane Theron, and then Jacob Grant and David Duran round the top 16.
And we'll continue to have the grid going through, but Warren, it's going to be a long race. It's going to be complete 2 stages to work with. One at at the end of lap 50, and the second stage will end at the end of lap 100. So these drivers are going to be having a long race to deal with. Looking based off of what tires and fuels window is going to be, each stage they're going to have to hit at least one time. We'll see if that's going to be under green flag or yellow flag conditions.
Yeah, and that's going to play in the hands of some of the drivers that want to play a different strategy. Maybe pit before the stage, get some fresh tires, and then set yourself for stage 2. It's going to be real interesting to see how these drivers adjust for that. And also to watch the drivers near the back. Got some quick drivers going to be starting near the back. We'll see how they adjust and play the strategy tonight.
Yeah, going to keep your eyes out on Mike Tellier, and also interesting to see that Garrett Powell still doing well points-wise coming into this race. Garrett Powell is still leading the way with Mike Tellier in 2nd place, and then you've got Tristan Maher that is going to be in 3rd. It's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be any shakeups after this week. I know going into last week at Dover, it was just all Tellier and all Powell. We'll see if that continues on from here on out.
Pace car hits the deck as we're getting ready to go green here. Here at Kansas, green flag out in the air, and a good start by the 33 on the inside, but it's gonna not make a difference as the high side's gonna prevail into turn number 1, still side by side for first on back to 10th.
Yeah, it's going to be Aller as well as Warren leading the way so far, as everyone's still staying side-by-side action here. But it's going to be the 33 of Landon who's going to be leading the way and getting ahead of everyone else. And here comes Garrett Powell in that 87 machine, hugging that inside lane, and now going to be making a charge for the lead. Oh, the 32! They're already wrecking the back, it looks like.
Oh, and he saved it! Oh, no, that's going to take a lot of cars out.
Oh, that's going to be the 12, the 61, I think the 30, the 83 was involved as well. First caution of the day before we can even get to lap number 2.
That was a case, he just got loose. That wasn't a case of any aero push or anything like that. That car broke loose on him, and he had it saved, I'll give him that, but unfortunately the stack up behind him caused a wreck, and then he just lost it off turn 4 and collected a good bunch of cars.
Yeah, I mean, it was Jason Warren coming into turn number 3 and just loses it in the middle, overcorrects, then comes back, and Bronson Stafford had nowhere to go, bumps the 32, he overcorrects again, and then the 12 just does not slow down, runs in the 61, and away the rest of the cars go.
Yeah, it was good wreck avoidance with some of the cars just behind this too. Just avoiding the car coming back down the racetrack. Good wreck avoidance. And out of all of that right now, Garrett Powell is your leader under caution.
Joseph Belmonte, who does not have a front end. As we look at this point of view from Belmonte, as in his cockpit, he just had nowhere to go, and the 61 just came down into him, and away that's Terrian, the 83 that goes through the grass. A lot of cars mixed up in this one.
Yeah, Belmonte, I mean, there's nothing he could have done. He got blindsided. Just terribly blindsided and then clipped there at the end by the 23 car. But yeah, what a heartbreak to start the race off. Lap 1, turn 4 is already seemed to be a little bit of the calamity corner so far.
Yeah, usually here at Kansas, yes, you see cars get loose out of 4. Usually it's coming out of 2 when you see a lot of the cars getting into carnage. So just showing this is an open setup league, so drivers are going to be trying to keep their car as loose as possible for some of them, and others, it's trying to make sure that their car is stable. And as you saw there, Warren decided to go for a loose machine, and he's still in the pits. Lots of other ones still in the pits. Stafford's in there. He was caught up in that 61 machine. Belmonte is going to be in the pits trying to get repairs done as well, as he lost his bumper. And a lot of other cars coming in and getting out. Evan Coleman actually came in, looked like he just did a splash and go for that 51 machine. He'll be trying to get back and just trying to keep the fuel that he's got so he can stay out there a little bit longer if we have a green flag run here.
Yeah, and that brings up a point that I don't think we've explored yet is, were the marbles cleaned off the racetrack before the race? Because if the drivers weren't running against the wall during practice and, say, qualifying, those marbles are going to be up there, and I don't know if he might have gotten into them and gotten loose, because the way that car just broke away from him, something had to have, he had to run over something or get loose on something up there.
Yeah, it was such an odd snap, but it was also in the middle of the corner. He might have just been turning just a little bit too much, and the back end just snapped on behind him. He did a great job saving it the first time, and then he got bumped by the 61 that then caused him to try to save it again. So it's hard racing for sure. Bringing out our first caution of the day before we even got to the start of lap number 2. And this was a potential to see. I mean, Kansas is kind of an unknown at times. Usually at the end of the race, it becomes a fuel mileage run. But at the start, a lot of drivers trying to figure out what their car really is under them, under this dirty air and just being in traffic.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit. They made it to 3 and 4. As pace car hits the deck one more time. Hopefully this time we'll go green to the end of the stage. Garrett Powell gets a good restart, and he'll get away from Landon Allers and Dylan Stipe as they cross the line. About a car length and a half between the top 3, and then it's starting to get a little hotter from about 5th on back.
Yeah, go 5th on back. They're all stacked up back here trying to figure out where they're going to be going. As now at 5th place, you see that Daly's going to be getting under the 66 machine and still side by side going down the backstretch.
Yeah, and Dally was making up spots just before that yellow, so no surprise to see him back down on the inside. Inside line's going to be the way to go to start off the run, but you'll see drivers like right now up against the wall early, trying to save a little bit of right front tire for later in the run.
Powell already up to its 0.2 second lead over the 33 machine, and he's going to continue to try to pull away as much as he can. But side-by-side action is happening back in 10th place, where we're starting to see a lot of cars wadded up here and trying to just find themselves spots to be in. We've got a lot of new faces running up in this league here today, as another pass being made as we're starting to see the 15 drop back, as Tom Bourne, who we saw have a fabulous run last week at Dover, finishing second. He's now moving himself up into the top 5.
Yeah, one driver who did not have a great restart is David Duran. He's fallen back from about 7th place all the way back to 12th place, and he's going to probably lose some more positions as Raul Meza gets off the corner a little bit better than him. I'll have to watch that 24 car as a little bit of peekaboo action going on there, but he's not having the best restart after that lap 1 incident. But he's found himself now just sitting in 12th, holding on for dear life.
And Powell's going to be losing the lead as the 33 Machine of Valor is going to be making that pass. And now going to be trying to pull away from Powell. And here at Kansas with the open setups, a lot of drivers looked like they had really good short run setups that were good for the first about 5 to 8 laps. And then they started to drop off. I'm wondering, did Powell have that short run setup just based on the fact that he is losing a little bit of ground here or there on the 33?
Or it could be the total opposite. Maybe he knows he has a good long run setup. He knows that Allers is pushing him, so he's just like, you know what, go ahead, lead the race, use your stuff up, and I'll just be here in the wings ready for you to fall back to me. So it's probably a little bit of a mind game going on at the front, but we know Powell, he's good on the long run. We'll have to see how that works out.
Fastest car on track is this 54, though. That is coming. Tom Bourne is catching our front 2, and he's running about 4/10, sometimes 5/10 faster than our leaders.
Yeah, he's come like a freight train from the last restart. He went to the inside of Daly and Stipe just a lap and a half ago. And now he's up on the backside of Garrett Powell. Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes to 54. He's going to get the spot on Garrett Powell, but does he move up in the line off turn 2? Or does he stay on the bottom of the racetrack? Looks like he'll stay there and possibly move up in front of Garrett Powell. He does, with the 54 up to 2nd place, and now looking for the lead.
Already trying to get that lead, pull away from the rest of the field as Tom Bourne, to the point it looks like, is coming through the straightaway, still slightly side by side, and now is clear for the lead. New leader, Tom Bourne.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see now if he moves to the high side after he gets this lead, but don't look now. Allers is going to get a great run off turn 2. Let's see if he tries to make a move here or stay in line. Looks like he'll stay in line for now. And we'll see what Bourne does in 3 and 4. Looks like he'll stay to the high side, but now bid for 3rd place. Move Daly past Garrett Powell. Move the 15 up to P3.
Yeah, Daly is cruising at this moment as he moved up from 5th up to 3rd place, trying to get by Stipes as well as Powell. And it's interesting to see drivers that are slowly making their way forward. Another car that's quick and trying to move forward, that's going to be the 98 of Justin Munsell. Munsell, this is going to be his debut race. He's someone that coming in had a little bit of unknown if he was even going to show up today, and he is a very quick machine that this 98 is, and expecting him to be fast up front. But Aller's going to be taking the lead from Tom Bourne once again.
Yeah, this has been a battle for the lead that's been going on for the last lap and a half. We saw Allers hit his caution out on the speedway.
Oh, that's going to be the 9 machine.
Man, looks like another car stuck on the bottom there. He'll tow it to pit lane. I'll have to check who that was.
Oh, I believe that might have been the 28 there involved in this thing. They were coming out of 4. The 28 came up into the 9, and they both went sliding through the grass for a second there. But oh man, that's a nerve-wracking spot for drivers out of 4 once again, grabbing some more machines.
Yeah, I don't think the 9 knew the 28 was inside him. He looks like he was going to follow the car right in front of him. I do believe that was, what, the 32 or the 23? I might be mistaken.
That was the 27 in front of him that he was trying to get up to. But yeah, no, he was just trying to follow suit as we do a cockpit view to see exactly what he was seeing. I mean, in the mirror, you see that the 28's coming, and I mean, at the same time, I mean, from his point of view, the 28 just came up into him.
Yeah, but when you're up at the top view, like I am up here in the booth, that 9 car comes off the corner And, I mean, sure, the 28 was there, but at the same time, the 9 looked like he was trying to follow the 27 down through the tri-oval. I don't know. That's just a racing incident here, Kansas. 2 lines, 2 separate ways for the dog leg. They just met in the middle.
Yeah, we're going to take a blimp view of this caution once again as more drivers coming into the pits trying to get repairs done or just get fuel for their car. But the 9 car on the high side, the 28 in the bright green. As they come in here, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just an odd spot. I think that it is both the mixture of the drivers being aggressive here, trying to gain positions, and a little bit of a miscall by the spotters to not help with that situation.
Yeah, and that's luckily all parties, in my opinion, got away with minimal damage there. So I guess we can say that was a lucky miss for all of them. But definitely not the way they want to start off this race. And also possibly use a set of tires up.
Well, drivers that were involved in our first wreck of the day, looks like they're going to be parking it. That's going to be Bronson Stafford and Bob Keller are going to be parking their machines and are done for the day here. Both of them looked quick, looked like they both had potentials to do well here today. But after being involved in that first accident, it is not looking good for them. But they're going to have to come back next week and try to do a better job there.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting the 1 to go this time by, I'm sure. And Landon Allers and Tom Bourne, just before that yellow, they were starting to have a cracking battle as cars come down pit lane. Powell, Stipe, Maher, and Meza lead the cars on pit lane.
Yeah, this is a late group that thinks, say, if we pit now, I believe the number I got was around 30 to 35 is the fuel window for these drivers. So coming in now gets them a little bit closer, and with all the pits, all the yellow flags we've had to try to save fuel, it's making them closer and closer to making it to the end of the stage.
Yeah, if they make it to the end of the stage and some of these drivers have to pit under green, they're betting on this to go green. That's going to be beneficial to them when it comes to the stage points. But back to my point earlier, Allers and Bourne were starting to have a cracking battle for the lead just before that last caution. And this restart's going to load them side by side. Be interesting to see what the 33 does. Does he pick top or bottom here, Sam?
Well, what's interesting is that when we had that early caution, when we went green again, they stayed single file. They did not stack up. So I'm wondering if for the rest of this race, they're just going to be starting restart single file here.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, this doesn't seem right. Maybe this was just an admin call coming into Kansas, recognizing, hey, these guys might have been too aggressive. Let's double them up later on. Or it's hard to tell, but they might be staying single file for the rest of the day, which, it kind of helps our leader. He can get away quicker. Doesn't have to worry about the drivers trying to time them perfectly. But the wait here is across the line. Are the lights going to go off?
Indeed.
They're off and they're stacking.
Yep, well, there's your there's your answer. It looks like we're going to double file it up. And surprising to see the 33 draw the inside. I thought he would have picked the outside there, but I guess, you're not up to speed yet. You can just flat foot it through the bottom. But I wouldn't want to have some driver on the outside of me side drafting, especially that 54 who's been pretty quick on the opening start of this race.
Yeah, and the 54, with the later this goes on, the more the drivers are going to start to want to move into that middle lane to the high line. So I'm wondering if starting on the inside might be a bold choice. But so far, drivers in the top 7 have not pitted yet for fuel or getting damage to repair. Driver that's they're making some of their first debuts in 5th and 6th. You got Spencer Hardison and Caleb Smith. These drivers coming in, and this is their debut race here tonight. We'll see where they find themselves by the end of the night, but looking pretty solid for themselves so far.
Indeed they are. Pace car is going to, again, make that hard banked turn to pit lane, and the field will be in control of Landon Allers and Tom Bourne. Heading into the restart zone, Allers takes off. Green flag back in the air here at Kansas. And contrary to what I said, he is gone and away from Tom Bourne, who is now battling between Travis Daly for 2nd place. And 3rd place, Philip Scott moves to the high side to try to get a run.
Yeah, now we're going to see if Daly has anything. We saw that the 15 machine had a quick car, had some speed to work with here on around 10 laps into a run. But once they get up to speed, where will these drivers be running? As right now, immediately the 33 dives up to the middle lane, as Daly is hugging that inside line.
Yeah, Daly with a great run off turn 4. He'll be side by side for the lead. At the line, give it to Daly, who will lead lap 18 of 160 here at Kansas, but the high side's going to prevail into turn 1. But Daly sticks it in deep, trying to see if it'll stick, and indeed it will. Move the 15 up to proper P1.
Travis Daly going to be up to the lead, but for how long? This is the same situation we saw with Tom Bourne, and immediately the 33 ducks it down low, trying to get back to the point.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be stuck in that dirty air, does he? He got passed by Daly and immediately went down to the inside, but now it's a absolute hornet's nest for second on back as they're side by side for about 3 rows deep, it seems. But move Bourne back up to second past Daly, and they'll go to the high side of the racetrack, getting ready to start freight training around the high side.
Philip Scott in the 8, scrubbing the wall through 1 and 2, as now they're making the moves up front. Tom Bourne now to second place. He might be trying to take a crack here for the 33. But right now, everyone running that wall lane and just rim riding it around here.
Yeah, one driver on the move. Ooh, that was a big moment there for it looks like the 66 car of turn 4. But one driver on the move, Mike Tellier, he's up to P8 after starting deep in this field. Moved the 3 car up to P8, battling on the high side, as it looks like the 54 back down to the bottom for the lead.
Tom Bourne once again up to front. But the question is, with how strong the draft is, like we saw every time you make a pass here on the 33 and you try to make it on the exit of 2, he's going to cross over you on the backstretch. And still side by side. That's something to keep in mind, though. Tom Bourne, yes, he almost got crossed over there, but he was able to hold strong later in this run on that high side.
Oh, 33 in the wall, little tap of the wall, but he'll get it straightened up yet again. Big save for the 33. Brandon Allers.
That 28 machine almost completely dumped the 3. I mean, Tellier heard that he was clear, and he was just barely.
Yeah, and I was going to point out something. 2 things, actually. We saw the 8 car do it, and the 33 thing hit it there. That bump in turn 1 with these cars in the draft, you want to get away from that bump on the high side. It'll bottom you out and shoot you up in the wall. And 2, we saw the 33. He ran the bottom there trying to get to the inside again, but he lost so much momentum. By the end of the front straightaway, he was literally getting just mugged by the drivers behind him. So the bottom side is a great move, but you really don't want to be down there for too long unless you have to, or you're going to lose a ton of momentum and possibly a ton of spots.
Yeah, looking at the cars as well, I think there might have been, Garrett Powell might have hit the wall at the exit of 4, the way his car jumped out of the corner. But Mike Tellier, that 3 machine running just as quick, if not a little bit quicker than Tom Bourne, as well as the 15 that lap. So, our top 5, or honestly our top 4, all running very quickly. I'm looking throughout the rest of the field, other drivers that have similar lap times being placed. A car back in 17th, Evan Coleman, if he starts getting himself into a better positioning and finds himself up front, this 51 machine's got some pace to work with.
Indeed he does, and we're starting to see now, Sam, the freight train of Kansas start to make its way into the picture now. All the drivers seem like they're starting to migrate to the high side. Got one lonely driver down there. That's Nathan Hall in the 28 trying to make a position. It looks like Deshaun Gorham are going to be the only 2 cars on the bottom side of the racetrack this time by, as everyone's up against the fence.
Yeah, everyone is. I want to give a shout out to the car that's in 10th place at the moment. That is going to be Matthew Rodriguez. Matthew Rodriguez, this is his debut race, running in 10th place. His 48 machine not looking too bad up front.
Yeah, he's just holding on right now. You got the 66 behind him. He's been trying to pass him for the last 2 laps, it seems. And David Duran behind him. And don't look now. Here come the drivers who pitted. Garrett Powell, Tristan Maher, and the driver who was involved in that last wreck, David Castelli, are trying to make moves as they almost pile it up in the middle 3 and 4.
Castelli almost just dumped the 17 into the wall. He was coming with a head of steam. Had to back out of that one, as these drivers are still a lot of battling. I think the closest battle from up front is probably for 8th place. Then also the battle for 2nd place is, looks like that battle for 8th place between Nathan Hall and Justin Munsel's kind of faded away. But up front, they are running still. Tellier up to 3rd place now for that 3 machine.
Yeah, we're entering that part of the run now to where the high side is. Everyone's going to run the high side, but the only passes you're going to see is just like right there between the 8 and I believe it's the 98. If you get a little less momentum on the high side off the turns, you're going to get passed on the straight. It was 8 in the wall. And the 98's going to take that, but the 8's going to lose a ton of spots and a ton of time on the backstretch.
Yeah, scrubs the wall again. That's not the first time we've seen the 8 of Philip Scott get into the wall, and it's just carrying too much speed into the corner, not able to really woe up and clobbering the wall off of the exit. So Philip Scott's got to keep his eye out and make sure he does not keep clobbering that wall through 1 and 2, as he's done it multiple times today. Oh my goodness. Matthew Rodriguez thinking about ducking it low and still hugging that bottom line, able to run there, but he scrubs off so much time on momentum off exit. I don't know if it's really worth it at this point.
Yeah, and the 98, Justin Munsell, just ahead of that battle, is trying to battle the 14 of Spencer Hardison. Looks like he'll get the spot off turn 4, move the 98 now to P6. So even though the drivers are against the wall, we're still seeing a lot of passes made, especially from about 5th on back, as the top 4 have pretty much decided to just run single file right now.
Yeah, I mean, Philip Scott now trying to get by the 14 of Hardison, not able to, and making the 28 machine of Hall have to duck out of the way to get by the 8 car. So starting to see drivers trying to find their way up front. For drivers, though, that are running further in the back, you've got a total of 28 drivers still on the lead lap right now. Only 2 drivers have officially DNF. Only car a lap down is Nick King, and Nick King going to be 4 laps down, needing a lot of help if he wants to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, indeed he is, and, wow, that's 3 wide down the back straightaway. Garrett Powell making it 3 wide, but, yeah, they're going to really need a caution here pretty soon, or those leaders will catch them and put them yet another lap down. As off the corner, Dally smacks the wall. That's second place. Mike Tellier now saying, yes, sir, Lee Bob, let me take advantage of this momentum. Doesn't look like he'll try to make a move. He'll get the middle of the racetrack, so move Mike Tellier down to the bottom. We'll see what kind of momentum he loses, but Dally smacked the wall of turn 4 and almost cost him the spot.
Dally gets into the wall. Now we're starting to see Justin Munsell up to trying to pass the 25 of Caleb Smith for that 5th place position. But like you said, with the 15 smacking the wall there, caution to the back.
Yeah, yellow out on the speedway. Trying to see exactly where this yellow's for.
It was the 9 car again.
Indeed it is.
Ooh, it looks like coming out of 2. That's where it started. It was between Castelli and Matthew Dyer in the 2. Coming out of the corner.
Oh, the 9 just hit the wall and came back down.
Oh, we hit the 12 as well.
That's such a weird. He just hit
the
wall.
Yeah, no, he just drifted up. It wasn't like he was really pressuring, like on the throttle a lot. That was just him drifting up. Very odd wreck to see. We'll see that again from the blimp view just to see how close Dyer was from getting clipped there, and Belmonte being the victim of not being able to get out of the way. But man, Warren 2 times. It's been coming into this race, the 9 car kind of is in a probation type of a mode just because of his iRating, and with the 2 instances we've seen him in, it's really difficult.
Yeah, this ain't gonna help his case, is it? If they do review it. But no. Two drivers though in that wreck. I don't know if you've seen it or not on your screen, but 2 innocent bystanders, Raul Meza and Brandon King, they missed that wreck, but then they slid up the racetrack in 3 and 4 trying to save it from missing it and smacked the outside wall. So damage on the 89 and 37 respectively. We'll see if they come down and fix that damage.
Well, now is around the time that drivers are going to be making pits, and the question is, do you go for tires or not? And because we're coming now to the point where if you haven't pitted already, you had to come in and pit. So it was good timing for those drivers, but who will take 2 tires? Who will take no tires? And who might take 4? Because when we get to the stage, those stage points can be very important on points overall.
Yeah, I'll tell you one driver who didn't pit. It was Mike Tellier. I know he pitted earlier in this run, but obviously by the way he was moving up the field, Sam, he had put I can't speak. He had put on fresh tires, it seems. So now we're starting to see Mike Tellier with fresh tires. Garrett Powell and some of those drivers took fuel only, and they're going to be behind and in front of the drivers who just took tires. And we've seen this in the past, Sam, at multiple racetracks, but this track especially, the difference between fresh and old tires is sometimes be the undoing of most of the cars in this pack.
Yeah, I mean, the risk of taking fresh tires now to set yourself up for the stage win, and then for drivers that are aiming for playoffs, they're going to be trying to save their tires for the end of the race, have the freshest and the best chance to move up through the field. Re-looking at the pit stop that the three had, it looked like it was only fuel only for
Oh,
that car,
really?
as well for Garrett Powell, who was just going through the field like nothing. That 87 car that's going to be starting in third, he took only a fuel, as well as Justin Munsell. So our top three only took fuel on their last pit stop. I think the only car that might have taken tires out of this whole entire field could have been Matt Dyer in that two machine back in 10th place. It looks like he could have taken two tires.
Well, excuse me. I thought the way he was driving through the field, I swear he would have taken four. But well, that just shows the speed of the three car, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, Mike Tellier as well as Garrett Powell. Before I came in, the first four races, it was just those two. They came out both having two wins before last week when Luminary came in and swept and got 1-2-3 finish for that team that had their debut. So it's kind of been, Tellier one of the favorites coming into this race, and can't wait to see exactly how these guys continue to translate that moving forward. But man, you got Tellier that's doing well in Team Waffle, and then also you got Powell that's just doing his own thing, doing a great job for himself and his team, trying to move forward with their power.
Indeed, as car come off pit lane, lights are out on the pace car. We're going to get the one to go. Let's get a top 10 rundown real quick before we go back green. Mike Tellier is in first place, followed by Justin Munsell, Garrett Powell, Matthew Rodriguez up to fourth place, Sam, and then fifth place, Deshaun Gorham, sixth place, Tristan Maher, seventh place, Jacob Grant, eighth place, Dylan Stipe, ninth, David Duran, and rounding out the top 10 is either Jason Moore and Matt Dyer, because my time is green is just all over the place.
Yeah, Matt Dyer should be in 10th place for that start. I think the biggest surprise of the drivers that are in the top 10, yes, Matthew Rodriguez, but he's been doing quite well running in around the 10th spot, but due to all the drivers that pitted this last time. But it's got to be Jacob Grant. He was involved in a wreck about 20 laps ago, got that damage to repair, and yes, he stayed out, but that 5 machine looks like he's got the pace to work with as we're getting ready to go green once again.
Indeed, we are in the pace car for about the fourth time, it seems, today. It hits the pit lane, and the field in control of Mike Tellier. As we enter the restart zone, Mike Tellier goes green flag in the air, and we're back under green here at Kansas. Battle for second heats up as Justin Munsell tries to fight off Garrett Powell, and Matthew Rodriguez gets away and gets in front of Tristan Maher as they dive into turn one, side by side for second.
Side by side, and it looks like Powell is going to be winning that battle, moving that 87 car back up into second place. And Powell has just been looking quick, and now you've got 1-2 in points battling it up, but here comes Munsell on the inside of that 98 machine.
Yeah, and this is the point of the run where we're going to have to be watching a lot now as the tires don't have the good that they had in those good years, pun intended, as it looks like almost 3 wide, but it's going to be double file for second. Mike Tellier still in the lead as they go down to turn one. Garrett Powell on the high side with Mike Tellier looking to hold off the 98, charge him down on the bottom.
Also got to keep our eyes out in 6th place. That 66 machine has been quick, as might have been a little bit of contact back there between the 5 and the 66. As Munsell, I think the biggest thing for Munsell is he needs space between Powell and also Tellier, because if there's space, then he can come up in between those drivers and then fight for the next position on the next corner. But it is too difficult to try to pass 2 cars in one corner.
Indeed it is. And woo! Maher slaps the wall in turn 1 and 2. He'll look like he'll keep the momentum up and keep the 66 from passing him, but what a moment for the 17. Good save, and well done for no one else behind him to get into him through 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's a moment of I don't have any grip left in my tires, and the 66 did the same thing. Has contact, and there they go. Oh, the 20 involved. The 2 almost got through hard into the wall for Matthew Dyer. Tom Bourne, I believe, might have been involved in that one as well.
Oh man, that was going to be bad.
Was not Tom Bourne. That was actually, I believe, that might have been the 25. But man, we are going to take a quick replay. That started out with the 17 and the 66 coming out of 4.
Yeah, you knew that was going to be bad right when you saw that 17 come back up across the racetrack. And yeah, that 66 car just slaps the outside wall. Nowhere for Maher to go. And, oh yeah, just nowhere for anyone to go after the 17 starts spinning back down the racetrack.
And Dyer almost got through that, and then he gets into the 25, it looks like. Oh, that is just a hard hit for so many cars involved in that thing. Oh, man. I think Matthew Dyer, his car involved. Raul Meza, he was involved in that one as well as he was sitting there. As we'll take another view of this from other cars' perspectives. But, man, everyone just tried to scatter the best that they could. They just couldn't.
Yeah, and like I said just a lap or so prior, the good in these good years aren't as good as they were. And unfortunately, I think it cost a 66. They're pushing up off the corner.
Raul Meza just came flying in, and we'll take another look at this, but he did not even look like he didn't even try to slow down and just ran into the back bumper of Shane Terrian, our winner from last week. When Terrian was trying to slow down, the 37 did not, and he just full throttled it and ran right into the rear end of that 83 machine. Oh, that is some heavy damage for the back end of Shane Terrian.
Yeah,
That's an incident that should not have happened at all.
No, absolutely. You should have saw the wreck happening and slowed down for it, but unfortunately, some good cars out on pit lane, especially the one, a couple of them, Travis Daly pitted this last caution, or, yeah, he's on pit lane now. I don't know if he got damaged from that. Don't think he did. But, yeah, Dylan Stipe, definitely one of the drivers with the most damage from that wreck.
Stipe, as well as the two of Dyer, and oh man, the 66, I think he was lucky the fact that he slid after that contact into the infield first and didn't have to come back down. Mahert's going to be dealing with some heavy damage after he made contact with multiple vehicles. Well, I mean, that's caution number 4, and now we're going to be setting up for about a 5 to 6 lap shootout maybe here. Might be a little bit more than that until we get to the end of stage 1.
Yeah, and that 5 to 6 lap shootout, if it's anything like we just saw in that restart, it's going to be absolutely spectacular. As the cars, I don't know if they're going to get the 2 or 1 to go. It should be the 1, but I'm just going to say 2, and we'll see the lights go out this time by. But yeah, that was a great time, as the lights are still on, so we'll have the 2 to go this time. But yeah, you said it. You know, we're going to have a heck of a finish, and hopefully these drivers understand now that, yeah, these tires aren't what they used to be. Let's hold off and, you know, wait for the runs to come. But I don't know, that 66 looks like he got in dirty air there. Sam had just pushed up.
Yeah, pushed up into the wall. I think it was also a lack of grip for a lot of these drivers. I mean, a lot of them are trying to push their tires to go for this 50-lap run until they get to the stage, and then they'll take fresh tires. For the drivers that are going to be trying to wing it in a way and try to get fresh tires, have the best stage points that they can. I mean, I think this is the best time to take 4 tires, get back out there and try to do your best, but that's also a very risky call with only having a total of 3 sets in pit road waiting for you for tires. It's a difficult run, especially with the fact that fuel was only good for about 35 laps or so. So these drivers kind of doing a lot of math in their head, trying to figure out when is the best time to pit.
Yeah, and that's 2 tires per stage break. When you think about it, that's a pit every stage break for tires, and then you have 1 sitting in the old box getting warm. So it's really interesting to see when you take that extra set of tires. We know that some drivers might have just taken it this stop. Maybe they didn't, or they're saving it for the last pit stop of the night. We'll wait and see. But cars are going to double up, and Sam, take us through the top 10, would you?
We got Mike Tellier going to be on top of the board. Garrett Powell is going to be in second place. Justin Munsell, Matthew Rodriguez, as well as Jacob Grant, Tom Bourne, David Duran, as well as Spencer Hardison. And then to finish out the back end, you've got Evan Coleman and Nathan Hall as your top 10.
Yeah, and that's interesting. We saw Tom Bourne pit that caution prior, so he's back up to 6th place, looking for maybe a stage win. We'll have to wait and see. But looking at that top 10, who do you think got the stage here, Sam?
I mean, I'd like to say Tellier has it. He just looks like his car is just set up for this, but I think we really cannot count out Tom Bourne. He's someone that we've seen get up to the front already. Our top 3 look good and dominant, but out of our top 10, I want to put my money on Tom Bourne to find his way to sneak up, even with only about 6 laps to go here on this stage. I think he can get up front in plenty of time.
We'll have to wait and see. Keeping our eyes on Tom Bourne. He's 3rd on the outside line. pace car hits the pit lane, and again, Mike Tellier in control into the restart zone. He takes off well before it. Green flag back in the air. Garrett Powell gets down in the bottom, gets a bump from the 98. That's going to leave the 48 wide open to go to the high side as they enter turn 1. Bit of a mishap on the restart, and Matthew Rodriguez is going to take advantage.
Matthew Rodriguez in that 48 machine running in third place, but here comes Munsell on the inside. Watch out on the outside, that 54 machine of Tom Bourne. He's going to be coming with a head of steam, already up to 5th place, and might be trying to make some moves, but watching Matthew Rodriguez at the moment, he's trying to find the speed in the middle, the top side, and he is doing a great job holding off that 98 so far. As the run goes on, that outside lane becomes the stronger and preferred lane.
Indeed it does. Garrett Powell down on the bottom of the racetrack, some rear end damage on that 87. We'll see how that affects him. Matthew Rodriguez on the high side of the racetrack in 3rd in frame. He'll get a run on the 87 of Garrett Powell. Down to the bottom of the racetrack is the 48, as Mike Taylor still leads him to turn 3, and the 5 car now making his way up here. That's Jacob Grant on the bottom of the racetrack, a little bit further back in your picture.
Jacob Grant's going to be moving and trying to battle it up, as well as the 24 of Duran. We've seen him have some internet issues. Tom Bourne on the outside, though. He's past the 48. He's now trying to get on the outside of the 87. Not able to, as Powell and Bourne and Rodriguez continue to battle on. Tellier's loving this. He loves to see the battling as Rodriguez gets a little bit out of shape. Here comes Daly now, 3 wide down the backstretch.
Rodriguez put in the sucker hole, as they say on the super speedways, as here comes the 15 of Daly. Oh, he got loose. He got a little. He took the air off the back of the 54. Oh, luckily no one got wrecked there, but Daly is coming in a hurry with those fresh tires coming down to 2 laps to go in the stage.
I mean, Daly, you knew he was going to be trying to get points, and this is the best way to do it. Put the fresh tires right before the end of the stage, and now he's going to be aiming for. Remember, it's the end of lap 50 going into 51. That is when the caution will be thrown, and Daly with the fresh tires, I don't think it's any competition. He's going to make this pass here on Tellier.
Tellier's not even going to contest it, battle it, nothing. Here comes Daly to the inside. He'll grab the point, move the 15 up to the lead. Here as we come near the end of the stage, 2 laps to go in the stage, and a battle almost 3 wide into turn 3 as the 24 Durant, 48 Matt Rodriguez into turn 1. They'll get it figured out. And whew, that was an interesting couple of laps there, but Daly still looking to pull away, but Tellier not letting him go.
No, he really is not. He's still hanging along, and I think it's the draft that's really helping the 3 still stay there. But Daly, he is cruising away, as now the gap is lap 50 has started. This is the white flag of stage 1 for these drivers. Daly is looking solid. He just needs to make sure he doesn't hit the wall of exit. Should get the win here for stage number 1. Mike Tellier, Powell, Munsell, and really the battling that's going on is between 7th and 8th place. When you've got yourselves Durham and Matthew Rodriguez, they finally clear it up. Rodriguez might be thinking about a pass here on the 54, thinks otherwise. Up front, Travis Daly out of turn number 4 is going to get the first stage win here, and that 15 machine needing it greatly.
Yeah, what a way to put the tires on, come through the field and win the stage, but almost wrecking out the 54 of Tom Bourne. I don't think Tom's going to be too happy about that. We'll wait and see. But congratulations to Travis Daly, winning stage 1 here at Kansas.
Yeah, we were actually scheduled before the broadcast to talk to Tom Bourne. If he was still out there after this stage, we'll let the drivers do a pit stop, and then we'll bring Tom Bourne in. But he's probably going to have some nice words to say about Travis Daly and the way he drove through the field. But this is going to be interesting to see. Warren, this is now when it's going to be really interesting, because Daly now is going to be on 10-lap old tires compared to everyone else that are probably looking like they're going to be grabbing 4 fresh ones here at the end of this stage.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see just who comes in and pits. We know Daly's not. He's already put his chips down on the board. He might come in for fuel, but we already know his chips are down for tires. We'll have to wait and see what Mike Tellier, Garrett Powell, everyone else behind him do, if they come out with 2 or maybe even 4 tires.
Drivers that were involved in earlier wrecks that are still trying to get damage done and are sitting in pit row. That's going to be Caleb Smith, who we saw running up front in our top 10, top 5 at one point, as well as the 2 of Matt Dyer. They are both sitting in pit road. And both of them, this is their debut race, and this was not the way that they wanted today's race to go. As the whole entire field now pulling into the pits here, as we're wait and see how many people are going to be taking 4 fresh ones and who's just taking fuel.
Yeah, I was getting worried there for a second. It looked like they were backing the field up way too much. Tellier into his box. So the 98 in his box as well, and we'll have to wait and see what Powell does. He's almost at the very end of pit lane, as everybody slides into their box nice and cleanly. I'll wait to see who gets fuel and tires only. Dally, no surprise there with fuel, and he'll be out and away before anybody else on pit lane.
Yeah, I think Dally was the only one that took 4 fresh ones and fuel, or at least just took tires and fuel that last time. Everyone else most likely just took tires. Actually, Shane Tarian, another driver that just took fuel and now is going to be out there, going to be second so far. We haven't seen our Dover winner up in the top 10 yet, but there he is, that 83 machine after getting the win at Dover last week. We'll see if he can, even with all the damage he's been sustaining throughout this race, if he has the speed to be up front. And as drivers are taking their pit stops and getting things underway, we're going to be bringing in Tom Bourne from Team Luminosity and getting a couple of words of his thoughts about how Kansas has been running. Tom, it's Sam and Warren. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, you look like you're quick, but we saw at the end there a driver with fresher tires almost got you around. I know you're probably a little bit upset about that, but how are you feeling about the track so far?
I always love coming here. It's always a great track and everything. Car feels great. I definitely feel like I have one of the fastest cars in the field. And Sam, honestly, you know me way too well. You know that's gonna get me frustrated, and I'm not too pleased about it. It's 48 laps in, and if you got new tires, you can go around me when you get a run. But it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been doing a heck of a job tonight. I'll give you that. One of the newer drivers I've seen here tonight, and you're really putting on a show. What's your mindset for these last 2 stages? We know that some of these drivers took tires just now. You probably just did, and, Dally didn't. What's your game plan here?
Yeah, I just took 4 tires, packed it full of fuel and everything, along with some other guys back here. Honestly, keep doing what I'm doing, trying to avoid the wrecks and everything. There's been 2 big ones right in front of me, and it's honestly scared me to death. But just go up there, run my race, and hopefully get us in a position where we can win. Teammates really haven't fared that well tonight, but hopefully I can bring it home for the team.
Well, Tom, as we're getting ready to go green here, good luck tonight, and maybe we'll be talking to you later tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Now, Warren, as these drivers are getting ready to go green, you've got, we saw Shane Tarian. I think he was trying to just lead a lap there, possibly get that bonus point as he dropped down when we were coming to the 1 to go to get fresh fuel and tires. So interesting to see there for the 83 machine.
Yeah, indeed. And, could be real interesting on this restart. We know Dally has still 4 fresh tires, but we've seen this, especially in officials, Sam, that, even with about 5 laps on those tires, they're not as good as fresh for new Goodyear. So I'll have to wait and see what Dally does on this restart and how he can hold off the pack behind him, who have just a bit fresher tires.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the coin toss that you have to do here. It's, do I go for the win at the end of the race, or do I try to win all these stages and try to set my car up for the end of these stages for the best time I can? Right now, the way Dally's going, he should have tires that were going to be there for the end of this stage, and possibly might be going for another stage win. But this could be hurting him on the long run for the win for all the other drivers that are going to be waiting to be the last car with the freshest tires. As the pace car pulls off, it's going to be the start of stage 2. We're looking for the end of lap 100. That's when stage 2 will come to its end. But it's going to be Travis Dally leading the way with a huge launch over the rest of the field.
Yeah, Mike Tellier and Garrett Powell. Remember, Garrett Powell does have rear end damage. He'll figure it out and get ahead of Mike Tellier through 1 and 2. Tellier moves down to the bottom of the racetrack. But look at the run. Powell gets off turn 2. Dally going to get swallowed up. Possible 3 wide into turn 3.
3 wide for second place. You've got Tellier, Munsell on the inside, and Dally stuck on the outside. This is most likely where he's going to be staying, as the rest of the field goes flying by the 15, and this is the power of fresh tires against 10 older ones.
Yeah, and there you go. Dally just dropping like an absolute anchor right now. Sound the horn. Dally's gone, but down to the bottom of the racetrack, Tellier hits that white line, almost loses it. Good save on a 3 car. And look behind him. Here comes that 5 car, Jacob Grant. We haven't talked much about him tonight. but he's up in the picture on the high side of the racetrack, battling for 5th place.
Jacob Grant, who was involved in, I believe, our second or third caution of the day, was now gotten that front end damage repaired and is having a very solid run for that 5 machine, as this is, I believe, his debut race, and so far doing a great run. Also, Evan Coleman, I talked about it earlier in the middle of stage 1. He had a very quick car. He's up to 7th place. I'm wondering how Coleman's going to be able to move up, and even if he can crack the top 5.
Yeah, Coleman has a very quick number 51 Toyota, and like we said before, he's very quick. But look behind him, another driver we haven't talked about much. He was hanging in the back of the race, got actually involved in a wreck early. Brandon King in the 89 moved his way into the top 10 for the first time tonight. He's in 8th place, just behind the charging 51 of Evan Coleman.
And we just like that, side by side for the lead. Justin Munsell had the lead for about a lap. Tom Board said, I will take that back, as the 54 machine, as he got a little bit squirrely at the end of that the end of stage 1 after being tapped by Daly. He has now made his way back to the lead, and now he's going to be trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
Indeed he is, but he's not going to get away very quickly or very far. Munsell gets back in line, everyone on the high side of the racetrack, but that very rebellious 5 car, he'll slide up in front of Powell. Oh, and Powell gets in him!
Powell's involved! Grant goes spinning around, and everyone's going to be trying to avoid him.
Rodriguez in the wall! Powell back down the racetrack. Oh, Powell cut the 5, no brakes off turn 2, and unfortunately it's cost them and about 4 of the cars a chance at glory tonight, as they have some pretty significant damage.
Oh my goodness. Garrett Powell, someone we saw, we're going to take multiple views of this. We saw Grant's point of view while we were watching that live. Here's what Powell had to deal with. He got clipped, thrown back into the wall, and he tried to save it, scraped the back end, able to save it, but then he got clobbered by Matthew Rodriguez and almost clipped Spencer Hardison. But oh my goodness, a lot of drivers scattering everywhere. We're not going to see what happened to Rodriguez after he made contact with Powell. But man, that 48 car, he was trying to avoid everyone there and had nowhere else to go, it looked like.
Yeah, and you know, that's not Powell's fault completely. The 5 car didn't really clear himself completely, but I don't know who you really say is at fault there. I mean, the 5 was technically clear. Powell didn't leave the room, but the 5 shouldn't have came up. It's one of those instances again to where it's Kansas, and you got to get back up in line on the straightaway. You're going to get swallowed up.
Yeah, that's kind of just a racing incident. I mean, I know some people are going to try to point fingers at one another. I mean, it was at both drivers' faults in a way. You know, both drivers could have backed out easily out of that scenario, and both did not. And that's, in my opinion, is kind of a racing incident in total.
Yeah, and that effectively takes, right now, out of contention, one of the best cars of the day, Garrett Powell. So we'll have to see who really steps up to be the second best car of the day behind Tom Bourne, who I still think has the best car on the racetrack. Possibly Mike Tellier takes that spot. We'll have to wait and see, but as of late, that 51 car has kind of shown that he has the pace as well.
Also, another driver that we haven't really talked about in the top 5, that's going to be Brandon King in that 89 machine. Brandon King had a very solid race back at Dover. Got caught up in some incidences throughout the race, and you know, it was Tom Bourne's first race last week at Dover. It was he finished second, but Tom Bourne and Brandon King, they started a little bit of a rivalry at Dover. They were bumping and banging off one another, and it would be interesting to see how they react once they're close to one another here at Kansas. But right now, you've got King back in 5th place, Bourne up in 1st. Will there be even more sparks flying here at Kansas between those two?
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see, but Kansas isn't one of those tracks you want to start, you know, having a fling with. This isn't the prom. You want to get in and out of Kansas if you can, and without too much damaging your car. But I tell you right now, just off what we just saw there, Sam, stage 2, I'm buckled up, I'm tightened down, I'm ready to go, because this is going to get interesting by the end of it.
It really is. We're going to do a quick rundown of our top 10. Tom Bourne, Justin Munsell, Mike Tellier, Evan Coleman, Brandon King, Spencer Hardison, And then also our pole sitter, the 33 of Landon Allier, is finding himself back up in the top 10. It's going to be interesting to see if he's got anything for our leaders, because he was battling back and forth with Tom Bourne. And when Bourne got past the 33, and then also in 8th place got Philip Scott, Nathan Hall, and also Dylan Stipe involved in that wreck, in our second wreck of the day. That 20 machine still running.
Still running, but for how much? Because, I think he took advantage of some of the cars absolutely diving down to Narnia there on the back straightaway. So we'll have to see with the 20 car. He's got some speed, I'll give him that. But I don't know if he's going to have to work the draft pretty well. And if he does get to the lead, don't expect him to stay there for too long with the draft.
And driver's name we haven't spoken at all tonight, 77 of Brian Woodruff in that 77 machine in 11th place. We'll see if he's got anything for these leaders, as a lot of drivers have just been lingering in the back. I think they've recognized that this was going to be a caution-filled night. Our 6th caution of the day, 5 cautions on track. Only 1 caution was a stage caution, so some of these drivers in the back might be thinking, let's just wait and see until we get to the end of this thing before I try to make a charge for the win.
Yeah, honestly, because at this point, they might all just wreck themselves.
You never know. We're getting out of the front doing the wrecking people, and even in the middle of the field, it's not safe anywhere so far. And interesting to see how these drivers are going to react for sure. Justin Munsell, like we've stated, this is his first debut race here, and I believe this is our biggest field of the season with a total of 28 drivers. So it's been awesome to see this league growing every single week. And we'll see if it grows any more next week at Michigan. But we're getting ready to go green here once again at the start of lap 65.
Indeed, and pace car hits the bottom of the racetrack once again. Field in control of Tom Bourne as they enter the restart zone. Tom Bourne is gone. Green flag back in the air, and we're underway again at Kansas. Second place has been the story on these restarts, as Mike Tellier on the inside of Justin Munsell into turn 1. Moved Tellier up to second place as Munsell falls in line. Top 4 hit single file.
Yeah, I think that was more so Munsell recognizing, hey, I don't want to stay on the outside. Let's get single filed and slowly start moving up. As the car that dropped back, that's going to be Spencer Hardison that's moved back a little bit, but battle for the lead. Tom Bourne stuck on the high side. Here comes Tellier, and here comes Munsell, both passing the 54 machine there.
Yeah, and it's going to get tight off turn 4, but they make it work. It's possibly going to be 3 wide down the front straightaway. The 54 backs out of it. Double file for the lead. Tellier to the high side of the racetrack, followed by Munsell on the bottom. Here comes Tellier. He's going to get a great run off turn 2 as Munsell moves to the high side. Battle still continuing all over this racetrack, but the battle for the lead is now raging into turn 3.
Tellier back on the inside as Munsell going to be stuck on the high side. The 3 machine looking quick, and like you said, looks like probably one of the top 2 fastest cars of the night. We'll see how they continue on as Allier back there battling for 6th place, but I think he might have scraped the outside wall coming out of 4, and he might be dropping back.
He didn't scrape the wall, but he got dead loose, I'll tell you that. He saved the car very nicely down the front straightaway, but back at the front of the field, no shame for the weary. Mike Tellier back to the lead, but here comes Bourne, going to fill that spot on the high side. And the 98 down to the bottom of their racetrack, trying to move down to the bottom and get a pass done. Not going to look like it's going to happen. He'll fall back into second place, but Mike Tellier still leading at the line.
Tellier in the 3, still holding that outside line, kind of right now keeping the 98 stuck, as the gap between the 3 and the 54 is just enough that Munsell cannot move up and get the draft help on the front stretch or the back stretch.
Yeah, if he's smart, he'll move in right here if he can. Well, it looks like he'll stay at the bottom of the racetrack once again in 3 and 4. Speaking of the bottom of the racetrack, look who's coming to your frame now. Brandon King taking the bottom to advantage, and he'll move himself up to P5 at the line. So move the 89 back up to the top 5 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, and King really is dropping in and out. He's battling out with Spencer Hardison. Hardison's not giving up for that 5th place position, but for the lead, Justin Munsell, he might have found something on that front stretch, but just not able to clear the 3 through 1 and 2. We'll see here into 3 and 4 as they continue to stay side by side. I mean, Warren, this is burning up their tires the more that they stay side by side battling this hard, and Tom Bourne's just loving this.
Yeah, I don't know if it's burning up the tires as much for Mike Tellier as it is for Justin Munsell, but definitely this is not helping either car in either case, because one has to worry about the other on the bottom, one on the high side, yada, yada, yada. But look at Tom Bourne, though. You just mentioned it. He'll get a run on the high side and possibly clear the 98 down the back straightaway. He does in turn 3, so Munsell now to the high side. He'll get back in line and try to save whatever tires he has left after being on the bottom for almost 5 straight laps.
Might have to take a couple of laps, let those tires cool off, and Spencer Hardison, we saw him battling for 5th place. It's now a battle for 4th place as he's going to be trying to get by Evan Coleman, as our leaders all single file for now. But Tom Bourne, you could just have a sense he's trying to get back to the lead.
Indeed he is, and a 14 behind them, going to slide up in front of the 51. He'll get the pass done, so Spencer Hardison will defend that 4th place honor. Not for long, though. The 51's going to try to get a run through 3 and 4, as right behind him is Nathan Hall in the 28, and a crop of other drivers looking to make their way up into the top 5 yet again. Landon Allers and Philip Scott just on the back of this little train here into turn 1.
Yeah, Brandon King just lost all momentum, went from 5th place back to 9th place. We'll see if he can find that momentum and start moving forward again, as everyone's still staying single filed up. And really, no one's really trying to make too many passing moves at the moment up front. It's all that passing's going on in the back.
Yeah, and the passing is going on all the way in the back. You know, I'm looking all the way back towards 11th place. We got a good gaggle of cars here. Some damaged cars, but still good cars that could possibly win this. Travis Daly, David Duran, Deshaun Gorham, Jason Warren, Dylan Stipe, Matt Rodriguez, all in this bunch here as they go through 1 and 2. This is a pack that I'm going to have to watch very carefully to see if they try any kind of strategy to move themselves up the pack a little later in this race.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Daly, we're impressed by the fact that he is still running in the top 10 with having so much older tires, but I think it's gotten to that point where the tires are starting to equal out between the drivers that have damage and those that don't have damage.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good point to make there. We're just far enough into this run now that you said they will equal out, and they will. But later in this run, then they'll unequal out yet again, and you'll start to see Daly fall a bit farther back compared to the drivers on the fresher tires. So right now, Daly is looking for a caution or something to get equaled out and back up, caught up with the field before later in this run when the tires really start to unequal out again.
Moving back out front, Nathan Hall deciding he wants to try to take a piece of this 51 machine of Evan Coleman, trying to dig himself into the top 5, not able to do so, going to be dropping back. And right now, Nathan Hall, I think that 28 machine might be the one driver that's still looking pretty clean for that car with all the chaos he has been around. He's been around so many different cautions, and he's never been the cause of it. It's just that he's been the center of attention most of the time.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Remember, he was involved with that 9 car in the first caution of the race, getting involved in the contact there. So I don't know if he wasn't the cause or not, but you're definitely right. He's been having his fair share of incidents tonight. As down to the bottom of the racetrack, does he slide up and do the slide job in front of the 51? He does, but that's going to slow his momentum down, and the 51 gets by yet again. Not the move he wanted to make, and now he's going to lose a ton of time, because here comes the 33 and the 8 looking at turn 3.
Yeah, Hall got into the wall. He scraped it off the exit there, and that's what's going to be hurting him the most. Our top 2 of Tellier and Bourne, you stated that you thought they were the top 2 drivers. Well, they're showing it. They've pulled away from the rest of the field. Bourne is practically bump drafting the 3 down the front stretch with how close he's been. And Munsell, he's just dropped back to over a second gap between 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, and these 2 drivers, like I pointed out earlier, the top 2 cars on the track are top 2 cars on the track. Look for these 2 to be the ones to beat tonight. And, well, that could all change with a pit stop mess up here and there. And I know a couple drivers looking to take advantage of it, like you said, Justin Munsell, Spencer Hardison. But right now, never mind. Here comes Tom Bourne to the inside of Mike Tellier. He says, I'm tired of playing the waiting game with you. I'm going to go to the inside. But not a pass he wants to make right now as Tellier hits the wall.
Ooh. Tellier, that's going to hurt him. That was a pretty hard smack. Luckily, it was a pancake, so it's not going to be injuring the back spoiler or the front one, but that is going to hurt him on the long run with that help not hurting any of his aero help. That's a pretty hard lick, but Bourne was so off the pace because of all the momentum he lost being on the low side that he wasn't able to capitalize just yet. We'll see if he can do it here into 1 and 2.
Yeah, Bourne back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Little heads up, they are catching the lap car of Garrett Powell just ahead of this battle for the lead, so that might be playing into one of the 2 drivers to possibly use it as pick. But right now, Bourne back down to 2nd place, and 3 and 4 is still the top 2, separated by just under half a car length.
And also update on cars that have officially DNF'd from the race. We talked about Keller and Stafford being done after their first caution. You can add Matt Dyer as well as Jacob Grant to that list of cars that are done for the day.
Oh, what a move by... Oh, what a move. That was just beautiful by Bourne. Baited Mike Tellier to block the high side, and then he dove down to the bottom, but Bourne knew he was going to do it, saved the momentum, and shoots by the 3 on the high side of turn 2. Absolutely fantastic move, and now moves the 54 up to the lead, and more crucially, just ahead of 2 car lengths ahead of the 3.
Ours are slowly starting to gain up on our leaders here. That's going to be Spencer Hardison as well as Justin Munsell. They've found some speed here on the later runs. They're starting to catch up to our front 2.
Yeah, that might be because the top 2 were starting to battle a little too much there a couple laps in a row and possibly heated up their tires a bit more than they wanted to. And that's going to let the drivers, like you said, behind them catch up. But right now, it's kind of distinguished that the top 4 of kind of breaking away from everybody else, as they're going to catch Garrett Powell in turn 1 and 2. Powell down onto the bottom side, and that leaves Bourne up to the high side of the racetrack, as he's now opened his lead even more, up to about 0.7 of a second off turn 2.
As right now, it looks like Tellier might have burned up his stuff, because here comes Munsell now, right on the rear end of that 3 machine. But, you know, it's so odd seeing Powell going to be possibly put a lap down here. Right now running 23rd, was a driver that was running for the lead at one point during this race. Now 12 laps down for that 87 machine.
Yeah, and that's just uncharacteristic, but unfortunately part of the misery of racing is that 87 being so many laps down right now. Just out there getting points. Every position he'll gain staying out there later in this race is something that he'll think about later in the season, but that 98 is catching the 3 through 3 and 4.
Belmonte in the 12 machine, we saw him be involved in our first wreck and also a couple of other ones. He has now officially parked it for the day, which that is a position that Garrett Powell is going to be trying to aim for, as Belmonte right now 7 laps down, Powell being 12, as they were just 3 wide. Trying to get by. Oh, they're pre-pitched. Tellier able to somehow hold on to that 3 machine.
Oh, Tellier's holding on for dear life right now. That right side damage affecting him just a bit more than he wants right now. The 14 dives it down to the bottom of the racetrack, just above the bottom, I should say, through 3 and 4, and he'll keep alongside the 3 car of Tellier. Good move there for the 14. Will he clear him in turn 1? I do believe he will, but we'll have to see if Tellier can keep the run on the high side.
Spencer Hardison now going to be moving himself up into 3rd place, but Tellier, I mean, that is he's trying to rebound after that contact with the wall, but like you stated, it might be hurting him at this point.
Yeah, well, he'll have to get that fixed at the end of this stage, which, by the way, we're not too far away from that end of the stage. I know we're about, just about halfway through this stage.
Yeah.
So he's holding on for dear life at this point if we don't get a caution. As battle for second, here comes the driver you've been so talking about, Spencer Hardison. I can't get that last name right to save my life. Trying to make a move.
I struggle too.
Trying to get the move on the inside in 1 and 2, but didn't make it stick, and he'll lose a bit of a time to the 98 Justin Munsell, but he's trying to make a bid for second place.
Yeah, that's what it is, though. It's just a bid for second. It's not going to be really a battle for first place, as Tom Bourne has already gapped out to a 2.5 seconds, a little bit over than a 2.5 seconds for that 54. As, like you said, pits are going on.
Yeah, Philip Scott. It looks like the 89 of Brandon King, your first 2 to bite the bullet and come down pit lane. We'll see if it's for tires or fuel. I do believe, knowing these 2 drivers, will probably be fuel. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, if it's going to be fuel, they'll only be in there for about 7 seconds or so, and then they'll be out there. It's about around 6 to 7 seconds. These drivers will be staying in, and both of them just fuel only and getting back out there.
Yeah, now here comes the question, how early do you pit? I know it's not for fresh tires, but if a caution comes out, this could be quite the interesting pickle that we're starting to see ourselves jump into here. Does Bourne come down the next couple laps? Does Munsell come down the next couple laps? Does Hardison come down the next couple? Heck, does Tellier come down and just start fixing a bit of damage? We'll have to wait and see as they get by the 9 car. Woo! It comes off the top of the racetrack a bit too much, but they'll get by him on the front straightaway, as the lead has now opened up to the biggest of the night, 2.0 seconds at the line.
Yeah, and it's only going to grow more. It's caution in the back. As I'm trying to figure out who that was, I believe that might have been, I believe it was the 8, Philip Scott, who just came into the pits.
Oh, you know what that is? That's the
Ooh, that's a lot of cars that were involved with that one. That is going to be starting off with the 8 and the 37 of Meza getting in the wall, and then the 48 there of Matthew Rodriguez decides to put his nose where it really shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I don't know where he was thinking of, I mean, I guess I know where he's thinking of going, but that 8 car, oh, I don't know.
Well, let's take a little bit of a view here through the cockpit view of what happened with Matthew Rodriguez here, a driver earlier on running in the top 5 and found himself dropping back. But from his cockpit view, I mean, from overhead, we'll take cockpit view first of what Matthew Rodriguez saw, because Meza got into the wall, probably was thinking, I don't want to be behind this car, so tried to get under him, and the 8 car kind of just drifted up, and yeah, it's 3 wide off the exit is never a good place to be. And that's where we found those drivers. And we'll take an overhead view from the blimp cam and see exactly what happened from that point of view.
Yeah, that was just an ambitious move, to say the least, to take it 3 wide there. But yeah, that's forced a lot of these drivers to be a lap down, Sam, and that's definitely not where they want to be right now. Luckily, if they can keep the pace up, they have the stage break, they get a lap back, but this is not where they want to be right now in this race.
Well, there's a driver I'm going to keep my eye out for, and that's going to be the 15 machine of Travis Daly there, because he was the driver that came in at the end of stage 1, took the pits, took 4 tires, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do this time around. 4 tires, fuel, and is going to be trying to go for a stage win here. First car that I believe is going to have 4 tires might have been the 33 that also thought about the same strategy, as both of them going to be running 8th and 9th.
I'll have to wait and see exactly how that figures out, but surprise, surprise, David Duran will stay out and possibly lead a couple laps and come in late in pit. We'll have to wait and see, but right now, David Duran, Jason Warren, Justin Munsell, your top 3 after a caution in the middle of a pit cycle is always the best way to say it here at Kansas, but that's exactly where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, for the drivers that did come in the pits, if anything, they can come and try to do a wave around, which that's what the 28 of Hall is doing. For drivers that couldn't take a wave around, they're going to be staying a lap down, which that adds drivers are going to be a lap down right now. That's going to be Evan Coleman, as well as the 66 and the 89 and the 8 that brought out our caution. He'll most likely go multiple laps down. But I mean, those are some strong cars that are going to be staying a lap down with the 66 and the 51.
Yeah, very strong cars. Cars we saw running inside the top 10 for most of the night tonight. So yeah, that is a big domino that's starting to crumble a bit now in this race, to see exactly who will win this race here at Kansas. As you see in the back of your shot there, a couple cars trying to dispute over positions. But right now, I think that we're seeing a great race here at Kansas, and we're just over halfway. We'll have to wait and see what happens at the end of this stage, as we're getting closer to the end of that as well.
Well, as we're still waiting to go green here for our final, what could be our final shootout until the end of stage 2, we're going to take a quick side-by-side commercial break. We'll be right back when we go green again.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
And we are back, getting ready to go green here. What could be, this is going to be a 7-lap shootout until the end of the stage.
Indeed, a 7-lap shootout. And look who's in the lead, ladies and gentlemen. David Duran in the 24, followed by Jason Warren on the high side. Pace car hits the pit lane for the first time tonight. It's in the hands of David Duran. As the cars come through 3 and 4, he hits the gas. Green flag back in the air, and he'll get a great restart over the field. As a couple cars stack up in the back, but no worries. We're too wide for third place now into turn 3. I'll have to watch some of the fresh tires like Travis Daly come through the field. Ooh, Mike Tellier. Ooh.
Tellier getting involved, and Daly's there. Ooh. Oh, the car goes dashing on the inside. I think that might have been a lap car. That was the 77 that just goes dashing onto the apron. They continue running, though. Up front, though, Duran under pressure by Justin Munsell, and also here comes Tom Bourne. But really, those cars battling for fourth on back, that is some chaotic racing that's going on.
Yeah, Mike Tellier just about had a dashing through the snow on the one who's open sleigh, how slick that bottom was. But right now, as you said, battle for lead heating up, but look who's coming. Ding, ding, ding. It's time for the end of the stage. Here comes Travis Daly on those fresher tires. He'll make his way up to fourth place.
He's
and
going to go
look to the middle.
He's going through the middle. He's doing it. Oh, my goodness.
Yellow out in the speedway.
Whoa, Tom almost got shoved in the wall by Daly. And, if he does that too many times, that is going to cause a wreck. I believe this was the 66 that brought this one out.
Oh.
And it was. Coming out of corner number 2, the 66 had nowhere to go except for going into the wall.
That was
That was a 33 that went odd, and then what the heck happened to the 66?
I don't know, but that 33 car, he was Jim Connon through 1 and 2 pretty much. He'll get a bump from Raul Meza, I think. Yes, indeed he will.
Goran blew his engine when he hit the wall, which meaning his day is most likely done, and he's parked it.
Yeah, but what a save for that 33, though. He was dead. He was dead for rights through 1 and 2.
Oh, I think he got a little bit of a help there, as we're going to see here on this caution. Meza right on his back bumper, and yep, he got clipped. And around the 33 goes, saving it, and whoo! Everyone's wreck avoidance was at their fullest, and oh my goodness. Hall almost got destroyed there by the 66, but was able to continue on, which you're going to have to look and see through chat or over radio, but I think with this caution, the timing of it, this could come to the end of our stage, or we might have a 1-lap shootout.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the call there as well, so we'll have to wait and see what the clutch drop officials think about the end of this stage, but that was good timing for the caution, because the way they were racing at the front of the field, we might have had a caution up there for themselves, because Daly was coming through the middle, wasn't he? He was just...
He didn't care. He was willing to put Bourne in another awful spot like he did on the end of that first stage, which you got to know Bourne is not going to like that moving forward later into this race. And I would have to say, I think Tom Bourne is making a couple of rivals so far this series. With the 2 races he's been involved with, he's not a fan of Daly, and I know back at Dover he was not a fan of King there either.
Yeah, but that's like saying that's the part of racing, buddy.
I know it is.
Sometimes you just get those rivals that you just, you seem to find every week, even though you try to stay half a lap behind them. You somehow find them. But we have a couple cars coming up pit lane. Don't know who it is. I'll take a look here.
There's a lot of drivers. The 9 machine coming into the pits. I believe Brandon King came in as well. A lot of drivers that are really already had damage or just trying to get damage repairs and stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's just, like you said, it's just damaged cars at this point. Holy Toledo. What a way to possibly end the stage. And if we get a 1-lap shootout, oh, man.
I mean, Daly's just going to throw it in there. He's already put his chips down. He's got to go all in on this and get the win at this stage, win both stages, which is massive points-wise, and then it's all about surviving and hope that your strategy later on in the end of the race sticks. But this is still a long race, still a lot of ways to go. But Warren, I know we've got Daly to win this thing. The other drivers that pitted and took 4 tires is going to be Raul Meza, who we were seeing go through as quick as he was. Is there anyone else that you've got your eye on that could be going through this field quickly?
Not if it's a one lap dash.
I just noticed one of the drivers that did pit and took 4 tires. That's going to be Justin Munsell in 9th place. I don't think there's enough time for that driver to get through the field, but that's interesting to see.
No, the only driver that has enough time to do anything is obviously the driver starting on the outside of the front row is Travis Daly, even if it is a 1-lap dash to the stage break. We still haven't heard anything, so I don't know if it's going to be a 1-lap dash or not, but wait and see.
Well, it's the end of lap 100, and when we go green, it's going to be lap 100.
Right.
I think it's going to be a 1-lap shootout here, unless we hear otherwise. If we go green after we finish lap 100, then this was the stage, and David Durham would be taking this stage win, which Travis Daly would not like to see.
Yeah, and the lights are out, so we'll probably get that 1-lap dash. And like I said, the only driver that really has any time to do anything is going to be Travis Daly. But he's going to have to get a great run off the turn 2 with those fresh tires to possibly dive it down in turn 3, which I bet he should.
Question is, there are some drivers with fresher tires. How will Meza get through this? He'll be starting back at 6th place, and 37 machine, we've seen him. He's not afraid to use that bumper if he's close to someone. But up front, it's going to be Durham, Daly, Bourne, Harlson, and Stipe. That's going to be your top 5 here on this restart. That could be a 1-lap shootout for the end of stage number 2. David Durham going to be getting the green, taking off in that 24 machine.
Now here comes the question of where does Travis Daly go? Will he go to the high side? Will he stay behind David Duran? Through 1 and 2 they go. Oh, we got a banger in the back, it sounds like. Still green, though. Daly, bottom of the racetrack. He'll get a great run off turn 2. So will Bourne, and so will the 14 Hardison. Down the back straightaway. Into turn 3. Duran blocks the bottom. Here comes the high side. Travis Daly gets to run on the high side. Side by side off turn 4. Daly to the line. And he will get first place in this stage as well. Daly sweeps both stages here at Kansas.
David Durham, that was an amazing call on his part to stay out when really everyone else came to the pits to make sure they had fuel to make it to the end. This 24 car said, I'll stay out, risk it. And that was a fabulous risk and a great positive for the end of the stage.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And he did a great job blocking Daly. He knew Daly was going to send it down to the bottom of the racetrack and said, no, you're going to get by me. You're going to have to go to the high side, and almost got it. I mean, when you think about how close they were at the line, David did a great job holding on to possibly almost win that stage.
Yeah, I was nervous that he might want to decide to bump the 15 up a little bit and try to wiggle him out of trying to complete that pass, but they both stayed clean. And, solid to know that on a 1-lap shootout, if you're in 2nd place, you can make it work with fresher tires, but it's going to be a lot of work. Like we talked to Tom Bourne. This time around, we'll be talking to our stage winner, Travis Daly, after pit road is done. But Warren, so far 2 stages are complete. What are some of your thoughts so far here at Kansas?
Well, right now, it's obviously the racing. The racing here tonight has been absolutely spectacular, and I'm sure we're not going to see a drop in that at all as we're under 60 laps to go here at Kansas for the final stage as nice notification bell. But yeah, no, it's going to be an absolute great race to finish this off, and I'm just looking for some of these drivers to possibly challenge Daly. We know Bourne's going to get 4 here. We're going to see Tellier probably fix that damage. It's going to be interesting to see who really shows up at the end of this race to be the winner tonight.
Staying out, it's going to be Justin Munsell. He'll be staying out with Tellier, but in the pits, it's going to be Travis Daly, who's most likely going to just be going with fuel. Other drivers that stayed out, that is going to be Brandon King, who's also staying out. And I think Shane Terrian might also be another machine that's deciding to stay out of the pits, though. Daly is first, and we'll see who else follows. But as Daly gets out of pit road, we're now going to be pulling in that 15 machine for some interviews on how he has won these last 2 stages. Travis, it's Sam and Warren up in the booth. You got us?
I got a copy. What's going on, guys?
Well, we kind of saw that your strategy was to win the stages, and it's worked out great for you, but there has been some tricky moments getting past these drivers with older tires. How has it been on your side?
Yeah, it's definitely it's been hairy. they're a little loose. My car's a little bit a little loose on brand new tires too. So coming through at such a high rate of speed in between them guys, it's interesting. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, Travis, I know that you have ambitions to win this race, but we've seen that the beginning of that second stage, I should say, we saw the older tires you had not really benefit you to the most. What's your plans here? Are you going to try to battle harder than you were before, or are you just going to let the field go, hope for a caution late in this race like we've seen tonight, time and time again with these cautions, and throw on that last set?
I think I'm going to go with a similar strategy. I think I'm going to lay back a little bit. You guys kind of saw me drop back a little bit there. Just trying to conserve some tires. So I've got a feeling that we're probably going to have another caution or two before the end here. So.
Well, Travis, congratulations so far on getting a win for Stage 1 and Stage 2, and we'll see if we talk to you later tonight and if we talk to you in Victory Lane.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
And as we're getting drivers set up and ready to go, I mean, it's been a solid day there, Warren. Where else will we be seeing some of these drivers going?
Well, I tell you right now, they're not going to go to the bottom of the racetrack if they can't help it. They're on that high side with momentum. You do not want to lose momentum now. We're getting to the point of the race that if you start losing spots, you might not have enough time to get them back in a long run. So look for drivers to start defending a lot more. Look for drivers to also block that run on the high side down the tri-oval here. Seen it time and time again. Drivers go to the high side, they move them up the racetrack towards the wall. Look for now, since this last restart, look for that to be a no-brainer block heading late into this race.
All the drivers have one set to work with, I believe, here. And the question is, do you use it when you need to come in for fuel, or do you save that set just in case a late caution comes out with 10 or less laps to go? These drivers have a lot of mind games to think about. I mean, these stages have kind of offered up the thoughts of, do I want to save my tires with all the fact that we've had late cautions every single time with about 10 laps to go?
Yeah, this is starting to turn out like a Las Vegas situation. We saw this at Las Vegas. This very same issue. We saw Mike Tellier have to save that set of tires. He used it on the fuel stop, and he won the race because it went green. We might not have that same situation tonight, but that strategy is still there in his brain, I'm sure of it. And no surprise, Mike Tellier, second place. Look for him to maybe play that strategy yet again and possibly use that to his advantage.
I love the fact, though, when right when they were in pit road, you said that was a dinger alert. Nope, that was just me clicking two glasses accidentally together. As Justin Munsell, Mike Tellier, Jason Warren, and also Brandon King, your top four. In fifth place, it's going to be Shane Terry and your Dover winner, but we haven't really seen much of this 83 machine. How much does he have to give? As we're going to be going green once again, Justin Munsell taking the green, and they're shuffling already.
Yep, this is the most aggressive restart we've seen on the bottom of the racetrack. Loose! Oh, and he saves it. Oh my goodness gracious, what a move there. It looked like the 83 of Shane Theron, but he'll get it gathered back up. Allows the 98 to get a bit of a lead now, but Mike Tellier, Brandon King, Jason Warren looking to gather him back through 3 and 4.
The driver that's going to be driving through the field the quickest, that's going to be Tom Bourne in that 54 machine.
Wrecking it back.
They're wrecking.
Rodriguez, 9 car, everyone involved here. 77.
Yeah, 77 of Woodruff involved. That was Nick King. And we're going to take a quick replay. I believe I saw the 77 car was the first car that really got spun around coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah, he lost it all by himself there, Sam. Just through 3 and 4. Gets loose. 9 car nowhere to go. And a lot of drivers lost it by themselves. I'll be surprised there.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that was odd to see King, because then that got into the 51 as well, got involved with that. That is one of the more oddest wrecks we've seen so far.
Yeah, the 77 got loose, King got loose, and unfortunately, the product of this, the nowhere to go for Rodriguez and the 51, nowhere for any of those two to go. Wow, just another wreck off turn 4 here at Kansas tonight.
Watching King got loose like in the middle of turn 3 and was losing it before we even saw the 77 or the 9 make contact. So Just based on how that driver was about to spin it around, we were going to have a caution either way. It just turned out both wrecks happened at the same time.
Yeah, Munsell going to hold on to the lead under this yellow wave around car. Is going to be the 8 car of Philip Scott. He'll go around the leader and take a lap back. I believe that does put him back on the lead lap. So Philip Scott back to the lead lap here. Lap 108 of 160, and we're just underway here in stage 3. Well, not anymore, as we're under caution, but we're in the final stage here at Kansas, and, well, the intensity level definitely picked up on that last restart.
Oh, it definitely did. Right now, we've got 14th back to 19th that are in pit road trying to get repairs done from that accident. More drivers have been brought in and parking it for the day. That's going to be the 17 of Tristan Meijer, as well as Deshaun Gorham's going to be also be putting it in the back for that 66 machine. Garrett Powell, and that adds to the list of other cars that are already in the pits and have parked it for the day.
Yeah, and that's interesting when we think about Kansas. Not really that bad of a racetrack for electricity. Electricity? No, I can't speak English. Don't at me. But we don't really see a lot of wrecked cars at Kansas. But tonight, that's a whole other ballgame.
It's a survival of the fittest, it seems like, and who is going to be surviving it this time? Coming in the pits this time around, though, Philip Scott pulls it back in after getting that lucky dog position, and we'll be trying to get more repairs done on that front end because that 8 machine, I mean, we saw him up in the wall back on lap 3 before he got any damage, got caught up in more cautions, and now trying to get that car repaired. But up front, Justin Munsell, Mike Tellier, Brandon King, as well as Jason Warren, Shane Tarian, Tom Bourne, Travis Daly, as well as Rolo Meza, Dylan Stipe, and Landing Aller is going to be your top 10. And Warren, it's been wild to see these drivers so far. They've been showing a lot of speed, but really, I think a lot of these drivers are just aiming for that lap. Probably 130 to 135 is the marker. If we go green, might even be further than that for some of these drivers for fuel, tires, and trying to make it to the end. But we haven't really had a true long green flag run. We've had one time where we started off pit road sequence, but we never got to finish it. Do you think that we might go green to the end?
I'm not a betting man, so I'm not going to say anything on that because I always lose. So I'm just going to say no. And we're not going to go green because, you know what, we might now go green. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to go no. I think we're going to have like maybe 2 or 3 more cautions.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of what we've been seeing so far tonight. And we'll see if cars in the back, I mean, with the spoiler damage that a lot of drivers we've been seeing them have, I think that's what's been helping them get really loose on the back end of our standings for these drivers. So that's why we're seeing a lot of them getting loose. That spoiler, they need it to be helping them with downforce, but with it being so damaged, it's really not at all. But up front, I'm questioning to see how fast will Tom Bourne get up through this field. Also, Spencer Hardison, he's taken 4 tires back when Tom Bourne did, but he's had to start back in around 10th, 11th place. Hasn't been able to move up that much just because we haven't been green for very long.
Yeah, and that's something I'm sure he's going to want to have change is the green flag run to really draw itself out and really get an advantage on that. But we're back to single file racing here. Single file restart, I should say. Pace cars to the pit lane. Justin Munsell in control of the field. Green flag back in the air. And Munsell gets a good restart over Tellier. Brandon King, Jason Warren, and Shane Theron are all single file heading down towards turn 1.
Yeah, Terrian's going to be trying to move that 83 machine through the field, which is the first time we've seen him up in the top 5 most of this race. The last time we saw him up in the top 5, he wasn't able to hold on up front, but right now doing a great job with that 83 machine. Even though it's damaged, he's still moving up pretty good. But here comes Tom Bourne, as well as Daly and also Spencer Hardison. Very quick machines moving up front as everyone stays pretty single file at the moment.
Yeah, they're going to say single file for the top 3, but you go back to 5th place, and it was almost 3 wide for a second as they go down into turn number 1. Bourne on the bottom of the racetrack, followed by Jason Moore and Shane Theron battling just behind that. Oh, a little tight squeeze there from Warren to Theron, but they keep it straight down the back straightaway, and Daly's going to take advantage of that if he tries.
Yeah, Tyrion almost got caught up there, able to save it. And what makes it more impressive for these saves with that 83 machine is the fact that he's racing on a controller compared to the rest of the field that most of them are on wheels, and that's why it's always impressive to see him with these saves.
He's on a what?
Yeah.
I wasn't known about this. I wasn't told. But wow, what that shows even more just how impressive that 83 car is. The battle for second place is on. Brandon King bottom of the racetrack over Mike Tellier. Brandon King is going to get the position. He'll slide up off turn 4 and grab the spot off Mike Tellier. But Mike Tellier says, nah. Let me get down to the bottom of the racetrack and show you how to do it this time at turn 1 and 2. Bottom of the racetrack goes Mike Tellier, and they're still side by side for second place.
They still are, but they're still slowly catching up to Munsell here as Munsell really got high on that wall, and I don't know if he's trying something different or if Munsell's just trying to save his tires for later on. I know he pitted 17 laps ago, and they went for tires there. He's got slightly fresher tires than Mike Tellier, so I'm concerned about this 98 just a little bit here as the run continues to go on. Tom Bourne, though, he's kind of stalled out. He's not running as fast as our leaders are. Those tires have kind of plateaued with the rest of the field.
Yeah, Knight is under threat from Shane Theron down the back straightaway. He's been right on the back bumper of that 54 for the last 2 laps, and still on the back bumper of the 54, not letting him go, but that's actually helping them catch the top 3. King looked at the bottom there between Mike Tellier, didn't let it work, and now the top 5 are in the single file line. It's about a little bit of a gap to 6th place on back.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see Tom Bourne and Shane Terrian working together. These guys are teammates. These were the top 2 last week at Dover. We'll see if they can make it a 1-2 finish again. The driver that got 3rd place, Robert Kenny, he did not able to make tonight's race, as the rest of Team Luminary not really having the best day. But Munsell stuck on the high side and being under pressure now by Tellier, who's trying to make a pass. King trying to make it 3 wide for the lead as he stays on the apron.
Yeah, and now them side by side, they've just opened the dinner bell. Here comes Bourne and Theron. They're going to use the side by side draft ahead of him to an advantage. Tellier tries to slide up. Ooh, but Munsell says, no sirree, Bob, let me get on the high side there and get by the 3 car. But a 3 car, Mike Tellier holding tough on that middle lane. King falls back now to the back of this field as it's still a double file for the lead, and watch for Bourne to try to make it 3 wide.
Also, watch out for Spencer Hardison. He's got fresh tires just like Bourne. He'll be trying to catch up to the lead to this draft, which he's got up to King's draft. Now trying to make a move up forward as Tellier stuck on that inside groove. He's trying to stay on the as close to the line as possible, but off exit, that's when he loses all the speed. And here comes that 54 machine. Might be thinking about making a pass for the lead here.
Oh, and he did exactly what I would have done too. I would have slid up right in front of that that 83 car. Indeed he does. He'll get back in line and keep that draft up through the corner. But that 98 car, let's have it out for him. He's holding on tough right now compared to Bourne, Tellier, and Theron. And he's just holding that high side quite hard and true and keeping those cars right behind him for the time being.
Yeah, he's running a little, I mean, with them being so close to the wall, Munsell's running the closest to the wall. Bourne is slightly off of it, trying to run kind of a little bit lower to the 98. But this is interesting to see as they are all now, I think at this point, recognizing we have to save our tires. We can't just be battling it out. And that's why they're all just staying in line for now. We'll see if any battling goes on later on in the night. Tellier, I think he might be the one that might be trying to make some passes here as I'm looking through our Discord and seeing which drivers are talking to which ones. Munsell is in the Discord with Bourne and Terrian, so they're going to be probably talking and trying to have a little bit of strategy here when they want to come in and when they really want to start battling each other out and when the gloves are off.
Yeah, and these top 3, Tellier got a good run off turn 4. Doesn't take any advantage of it. He'll stay in line. Here comes Theron down to the bottom of the racetrack. Not going to have a good run. He's not even near anywhere close to get a good run there. He'll get back in line, and the top 4 stay where they are. But the top 4 being a single file has inadvertently let Brandon King slowly gap his way back into this picture. Well, I say that, and he's under fire now from Spencer Hardison, who, like you said, is on fresh tires, and Dally just behind that. So cut and dry whatever I just said, because now they're side by side.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking good for right now for King to be running well as, Hardison, he's trying his best, but he's just scrubbing off so much time that he's not able to make this pass on King. Might be coming to the point where the tires have equaled out, and it's might be a little bit too difficult to just hold the inside line. You have to get a little bit of momentum to try to pass the car in front of you. But we are getting inching in closer and closer. We're about 10 laps away for some of these drivers that pitted before the stage break of stage 2. They're going to be having to think about pitting here probably in the next 10 to 12 laps or so.
Yeah, and that should put them cut and dry right in the middle of the stage. So they might be able to make it on fuel. They should if they pit around halfway. So we'll have to wait and see. But right now, top 4 still single file. But you go back to 5th place where Travis Daly is. That's where the stew is cooking. As Daly, Hardison, and King still battling over who wants to be 5th place right now.
Yeah, Daly as well as King, I believe, might have brushed the wall last lap on turn 1 and 2, which lost King a lot of momentum. Hardison was able to make that pass, and now they're going to be trying to charge up to our top 4 as Bourne shuffling down. Maybe he'll be trying to predict and trying to set up here for a pass, but for now, still staying single filed up. I think at this point, it's try to save your tires and your fuel until you have to pit at this point.
Yeah, one driver who we haven't talked about since the middle part of this race, but now is in the picture yet again, especially with picture for that top 5, possibly in the next couple laps. That's Nathan Hall in that 28. He was well behind Brandon King, and now all of a sudden, he's on the back bumper of the 89 car and can see the leaders in his picture through the window. So that 28 car has started to slowly move his way back up to the field and possibly to the top 5 in the next couple laps.
Yeah, right now Hall and Hardison on the same stint of tires. They're on the freshest ones out here in the whole entire field. So trying to make as much pressure going forward. But, I mean, looking at the lap times that are being placed right now, Hall looks like he is the fastest car out on track at the moment, tied with Daly. The 15 and the 28 both cruising at this point. And our front 4, they're about a 10th off of what we're seeing from the 15 and that 28 machine.
Yeah, but one driver looking to make a move now is that driver in 2nd place. Tom Bourne got a great drive off turn 4. Thought about a little bit of a move to the inside of the 98, but the 98 said, no, sir, I'm going to block that all day long. And indeed he does through 1 and 2. Back down the back straightaway they go. Lap car in front of 9 car slapped the wall. He'll get down and out of the way clear of these 2 leaders as they go into 3 and 4. We'll see if the 54 can get a run. He has so much more mid-corner speed than the 98 right now, but he just cannot get it hooked up off the turn.
I was kind of getting a little bit nervous with the 9. He was drifting up in the center of the corner, and I was nervous he might come up into our leaders as they get on by past that lap machine. Right now, our top 3 very quick, and they're trying to pull away from that 83 of Shane Terrian. But don't look now. Daly is there. He's going to be trying to make the pass here for 4th place.
He's trying to make the pass for 4th place into turn 3 and 4, but he gets back in line, thinks about maybe off the corner down the front straightaway. We'll have to wait and see. But now as the battle for 4th heats up, the battle for the lead heats up. Bourne, bottom of the racetrack, Tellier middle, and up on the high side is Justin Munsell, who will have the preferred line in 1 and 2. Down in the 1, the 54 runs the middle of the racetrack, 98 on the high side. Tellier going to try to follow him through. Now down the back straightaway, 54, does he move up?
Whoa,
no,
Daly. Daly almost goes spinning into the inside wall, but able to save it out of 2. But that battle for the lead, Bourne, that might have hurt him as he drops back now down to 3rd place.
Well, as we just saw turn 2 there, I'm sorry. It's really starting to ramp up all through this top 5, really. As now the top 6 have now made their way back into one single file line through 1 and 2. Munsell really holding up this pack, who seem to have a little bit better tires right now than your leader.
Yeah, right now trying to just hold on, and really Munsell's kind of been just lingering, it seems like. He's not really trying to push his tires too much. I would say that the drivers that are in 5th on back, they're the ones that are pushing it. And we're starting to really see that for the 15 now, who he pitted before the stage break, and those tires, I think they finally hit their max as he was cruising up here and has slowly started to taper off.
Taper off isn't even the word for it, because they're going to be off a cliff in about here in a couple laps. But look at Tellier. He's getting such a better run through 3 and 4. But just like the driver behind him, Tom Bourne, he can't hook it up off turn 4. The 98 just gets a better launch off the banking and will continue it down the front straightaway. But look at the driver ahead of him. That's a lap down car, going to run up near the top of the racetrack. Woo! Luckily, he hits down to the bottom of the racetrack just in time. But who is that coming like a bullet on the bottom of the racetrack?
That's got to be Jason Warren, who just came into the pits 2 laps ago. Fresh tires, full of fuel, but 2 laps down. This is when things get interesting. How patient will Warren be here on this straightaway?
Not very patient, because he knows if he clears the lead right now and a caution comes out, he's sitting nice and pretty, I like to say. And he'll try to, oh wow, he's really did not have a good straightaway speed there at all, but through the corner, he'll gain it all back, and he'll be alongside your leader to possibly get one or only lap back down the back straightaway.
Yeah, he's going to try to get one of his lap back the hard way, which now will leave him 1 lap down. But not the first car 1 lap down. That's going to go to Philip Scott, who just got lapped down. Another car just came into the pits. The 24 machine being one of the first cars on our lead lap that just came in.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see if he takes 4 or not, because if he takes 4, that kind of hard presses the rest of the field to kind of maybe take 4. We'll have to wait and see. Because you do not want to be the driver that sees 4 or 5 cars behind you take 4, and you to decide to say, oh yeah, I'm just going to take no tires here, because if this goes green, that could be the calling car that you really messed up.
And it looks like he's going to go with just fuel for that 24 machine. Interesting to see there, and it looks like also Brandon King and that 89 machine also just came into the pits, as he'll be 1 lap down, so another car that was doing well, as well as the 20 is already pit 2 laps ago. So we're starting to see drivers setting up here, but our leader's still battling on as Munsell pulls away. Tellier, Bourne, Hardison is now there as Tarian trying to battle it out. Our 2nd through 5th right on top of one another.
Later pit lane was like the 83 pit lane, and also Travis Daly pit lane sliding in hard.
Ooh.
Oh, let's be close to see if he gets a penalty on that. But a lap prior, don't know if we saw it on camera, but the 3 car was hard inside on the outside wall. And 3 and 4, don't know how much damage he picked up, but he was on and along that wall for most of the corner. And that's what really stacked up that pack from about 2nd on back.
Well, now we got a question. When will we see the rest of the field come into the pits? We know that Tellier has to come to the pits here soon, as he was one of the drivers that did not pit, but he did pit early before the stage, but not during or after just yet. He's been out there for 41 laps. Bourne can be out there for a while. I think he'd be out there for another at least 4 to 5 laps. The question is, when will Tellier come in? As like I've stated, he's been out there long. The car that can be out there the longest, though, is going to be, ooh, here it comes to 3.
Yep, 3 car on the singling down the back straightaway. He'll be coming in, really arcing it in on the apron. He's got to get it woed up here for Kansas, one of the hardest pit lanes to get onto in the sport. But he'll get it nice and down to pit speed as he comes down to his box. We'll have to wait and see if he takes tires or fuel only for the 3.
Also, the 51 of Evan Coleman going to be coming in the pits. He was in 4th place, as well as Allier in the 33 coming in, leaving us with a total of cars that are on the lead lap. 4 still there. As of right now, coming in the pits was actually another driver. As
4 tires on the 3.
Coming in, getting going, Bourne in the pits, as well as Hardison. And also, it looks like the 77th car still out there. A lot of other machine lap cars coming in as well with our front 2.
Yeah, 4 tires on that 3 car of Mike Tellier. This could be the move of the race if everything works out to plan. If a caution comes out, then we can kiss that goodbye. But if the caution doesn't come out, look at Mike Tellier to possibly win this race with a brilliant strategy move.
Question is, did Shane Tarian and Munsell, did they take 2 tires or 4? Their their pit road speeds, which pit road stops, make it look like they came in for 2 tires.
Oh, if they car ahead of that just hit the wall pretty hard. I believe that's the 98 of that's the 98 of Munsell. Slammed the outside wall in turn 4. He's gonna lose a ton of time. And Theron goes to on the racetrack for 2nd place.
Shane Tarian now going to be in 2nd place as Brian Woodruff, who we saw spinning back at about 20 to 30 laps ago. That 77 car now leading the way. He'll have to come to the pits here in the next about 3 to 4 laps, but a good run for him, getting some bonus points for leading a lap.
Yeah, and if a caution comes out, that's going to play into his hands too, because he'll gain all that track position. But look how much time he loses in the corner to the 51 car, who comes flying like he's in the NASA space program around the 77. But how much longer can the 77 afford to stay out and bank on a caution?
I mean, he can keep on staying out here. I mean, it's worth staying out the longest you can at this point. If you're so far back, banking on a caution isn't a bad idea. You've got so many cars on different tire strategies at this point. There's still other cars that need to pit. Matthew Rodriguez still needs to pit, as well as the 9 car needs to pit, and everyone else should be good to make it to the end. But interesting to see is here comes the 77 car now into the pits. They'll most likely go a lap down, but this is now going to be bringing Shane Terrian, who we haven't seen up front since really the start of the race. Even then, I don't even think we saw the 83 up front. He was a part of one of our first cautions, and ever since then, he's been staying in the back, trying to stay out of trouble, and now he's going to be coming around and onto the front stretch, should be taking the lead here.
Indeed he will, but look behind them. You have Travis Daly and Mike Tellier. I don't know what Daly took, possibly 2 or 4 on Daly.
He took
Tellier.
4.
Okay, so the 2 drivers behind Munsell and Theron, let's say they took 2, are on 4 fresh Mr. Feelgoods. So that is going to be an absolute ball game to see how well the 2 tires hold up against the 4. But right now, compared to speed, they're holding on pretty well, maybe half a second less than what the drivers behind them are running.
Yeah, I mean, looking right now, drivers that took 4 tires is from 3rd all the way back to 7th place, as Daly was leading that train of vehicles. Is the pass now for 2nd place easily taken. Travis Daly, he might be going for the sweep here tonight. Winning, he's already won stage 1 and 2, now trying to meet us in victory lane. But Munsell not giving up as he dives that 98 machine below the 15 machine, but tires are way more important as whoa!
Big wiggle. Big wiggle out of the 98 of Johnson Munsell. That's their 2 tires for you. They're great for a short run, but as the run goes on, that imbalance of tire wear is really going to start upsetting the cars, especially when they go down to the bottom of the racetrack. On the high side, it's not too bad. On the bottom, it's an absolute nightmare, as you saw the 98 through 3 and 4.
You might be questioning, where is Tom Bourne? Well, he stayed out an extra 2 to 3 laps than the rest of the field. He's 3.7 seconds back. And that is way too much of a gap for him to come back from compared to the drivers. I mean, yes, he's gaining about 2 to 4 tenths a lap, but I don't think that's enough coming to the end of the stretch.
No, but look at Mike Tellier. He's saying, I'm sorry, you two. Let me just grab the lead back real quick. Oh, absolutely blistering move on the bottom of the racetrack. Past both cars in the same turn, and now Mike Tellier back to the point here at Kansas Speedway.
And right now at this point, I think Shane Terrian and Munsell are thinking, let's just hope that a caution comes out. We got 2 fresh ones to work with, and we could possibly get in front of these guys. But for now, it's a waiting game. They put their chips down. They banked on 2 tires. Now you wait and see, will this work out? With 15 laps to go, it's looking like it's a battle between the 3 and the 15.
Yeah, but that 83 car, I'll give him all the credit in the world. He's doing a wank of a job as, he's in the wall there in 3 and 4, but he's doing an absolute stellar job keeping up with the 4 tires ahead of him. He's not letting him get too far ahead of him, and let's just say they start racing pretty heavily. Watch the 83 to maybe take advantage late in this run.
I think this is where you got Mike Tellier and Daly as they're coming up to lap traffic. That's not really getting out of the way. Ooh. 77 car is trying to stay on the lead lap, as he'll be trying to stay there, but not able to hold off the 3 machine, as the freshness of the 3 and just the speed overall carrying the 15 and 3 along, is Shane Terrian losing ground, almost a second back, and also almost a second back from Shane Terrian is Munsell, and then 2 seconds back from Munsell is where you find Tom Bourne. A total of 4 seconds back from our leaders, and looking like a driver that looked like was going to have a better day today, just aiming for a top 5 finish.
Well, that's all fine and dandy right now, but that 4 seconds could go away real quick if these 2 leaders decide to start racing like we saw them racing earlier in this race. So I'll have to wait and see exactly how that happens. We saw Daly get a good run on Mike Tellier, but didn't take it on the back straightaway. Just biding his time, waiting for that time to make that move.
Waiting and waiting, but when is it too late to make the pass, really? Because we know the tires are good for the first about 6 to 10 laps to make a lot of passes on the inside, but once you've been out there on those tires for about 20 laps or so, it's way too difficult to make any passes. And when they're 20 laps on these tires, that's going to be leaving them with about 4 laps to go. So will they even have an opportunity at that point?
Yes. Yeah, you're going to have to really send it. And we know these drivers, these 2 drivers at the front, they're known for sticking the stamp and sending it. So it's going to be interesting to see the mind game, to see, okay, when is he going to dive it down to the bottom? Does he do it now? Does he do it now? We don't know. And the only driver who really knows is going to be Daly, because Mike Taylor doesn't know. He doesn't know when to block him or anything. So it's going to be really just the battle to see who gets a better run off one of these 2 corners.
Tom Bourne has caught up to Justin Munsell, passing him, moving up to 4th place. And at the point that we last talked about, Tom Bourne has gained about 6/10 on our leader. We'll see if he can gain any more as it's 10 laps to go. Mike Tellier and Travis Daly going to be battling it out for the lead at this moment. But like you stated, if they battle too hard, there comes the 83 and that 54.
Yeah, and Daly just gets a great run down the back straightaway each and every single lap, but just cannot get it to hook up off the corner. But this time by, Tellier gets a little wide off turn 4. It's as close as the Daly's really been the last couple laps into turn 1. What does he think about doing? Well, he'll stay right in the back tire tracks of Mike Tellier yet again through 1 and 2 and see what kind of run he can get down the back straightaway, as that's where he's really been strong, is off turn 2.
Yeah, Tom Bourne now has passed Shane Tarian and has moved up to 3rd place. The issue is now he really doesn't have anyone that has fast tires or draft to work with. He's now banking on these drivers to run like they are. But Tellier blinking just for a second there. If he blinks anymore and we see Daly get close, you got to be careful.
Yeah, you saw Mike Tellier. He knew he was going to go to the high side, and he blocked it. Daly gets back in line. And just alone there, I was going to think that Bourne would gain a little bit of time. He actually lost 1/10 of a second because of just how close Daly has been to Mike Tellier. So these 2 have basically decided themselves to be the top 2 cars to win this race unless a caution comes out. And then we don't even know who's got a tire set left in the bank to possibly win this race. So they're banking on this to go green, so am I.
Yeah, looking at drivers that would have tires left, I believe the 24 of Duran would have a set left. That is the car that's running in 9th place. And I believe also the 20 might have a set left, but you also need laps to make the tires last. And you're if you're going to be in the back of the field with fresh tires and try to work your way forward, you need at least 4 laps to work with, which that means they need a caution now if they want to have any chance of going up through the field.
Indeed, and also we're getting to that lap now, Sam, to where it's going to be time to make the move. We're going to have to wait and see if Daly can reel back Mike Tellier. Because Mike Tellier, not the best run through 2, but it equals out off turn 2. He got a little loose there, but luckily the speed that Daly carried was just enough that it equaled out. But now we're getting to the point of the race where it's going to have to be time to make that move. And if you're Daly, right now you're still just too far back.
Daly right on the back bumper of the 3, but just not close enough to try for a pass just yet. If anything, he could try to use these lap machines, but lap cars have been very respectful here tonight, getting out of the way as quick as they can, as they're coming up to the 20 machine that will be the last car on the lead lap at the moment, which if he gets lapped, that would leave us with 10 cars left on the lead lap, which is wild to think with how many cautions we've had that so many cars have been a lap down.
Yeah, and we see Mike Tellier through 1 and 2. He's been flirting even more with that outside wall of turn 2. We saw him last time by really have to check up a bit through turn 2 to get that car rotated off. I'll have to wait and see what he does this time by. Gets a little bit away from that wall, probably knowing that he needs to let off a bit more, as he's actually started the gap now. Travis Daly by 0.6 of a second and slowly pulling away a 1/10 a corner.
Well, Daly went into this battle kind of at a disadvantage in a way. He was about a whole lap behind the 3 car coming into the pits. So, I mean, he pitted a lap earlier than the 3, so he was having to try to save his tires or make the pass sooner. And I think that it's kind of hit that mark where the 3 machine has the better tires here for a couple of laps, and he's just pulled away. The gap is now 1.3 seconds. I don't think anyone else is really going to be challenging for the lead here unless the caution comes out. But right now, the battle is on for 4th place. Shane Tarian, Justin Munsell, they're battling here.
Yeah, and this is a battle that we knew was going to be setting up with the 2 tires they both took. They were going to be equaled out. And here off turn 4, coming down to 2 laps to go, it's still the 83, but for how long? 98 to the high side. Now looks down low, goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Does he try to pull the slide jump on the 83? Doesn't have enough momentum. The 83 holds on for now, but the 98 is going to have to regroup and try to get back at the 83, coming to the white flag.
And we'll back to Mike Tellier. He just has to cross the line. White flag in the air. The next flag will end it. As here comes the 3 machine. White flag in the air as Mike Tellier just completely gaps himself from Daly at the end of this thing, as it's now 2.6 seconds, now 2.5. But man, what a showing by Mike Tellier, who stayed up front in the top 5 almost all race long.
Yeah, and just like at Las Vegas, Mike Tellier shows that the strategy is with the 3. Coming off turn 4, Mike Tellier is going to win at Las Vegas and also win at Kansas in the same fashion he wins at Kansas.
Mike Tellier becoming the first car with 3 wins this season, and this is just going to help him out in points-wise. Most likely, this will give him the points lead going into next week at Michigan, but a great day for himself. The battle that went on for 4th place, Shane Tarian wins that one, but Tom Bourne, he was trying to battle the best way that he could, only was able to cut into 3.8 seconds was the difference between himself and the leader. Mike Tellier, what a great day for him. Also, for the 2nd place driver of Travis Daly, I mean, he won stage 1 and 2. Points that he's going to be getting is going to be massive as well.
Oh, indeed. And, that's a great finish for those guys through the top 5. And like we said, Tom Bourne, what a great result for him. But I got to go back to Mike Tellier. I said it earlier, how he did that strategy at Las Vegas. He pulled the same strategy tonight. And it's worked out 2 times for Mike Tellier at tracks very similar to Las Vegas here at Kansas.
Well, as Mike Tellier starts to burn it down, we'll take a quick look here at the results. As Mike Tellier gets to win, Travis Daly 2nd place, Tom Bourne 3rd, Shane Tarian, Justin Munsell, Evan Coleman able to get a 6th place finish, Nathan Hall, who we saw in a lot of chaos throughout the day. Also, Eleanor in that 8th position, Durham able to somehow get a 9th place finish, even though he saved his final set of tires there at the end. And Jason Warren, who started 2nd place after a very scary start of the race for him, getting extremely loose, he'll be getting a top 10 finish.
Yeah, and just a little farther back from the top 10, Dylan Stipe, good way to make his way back after being involved in a wreck early in this race. Spencer Hardison, what could have been, he was battling top 5 all day long, ends up finishing 12th tonight. Raul Meza finishes 13th. Bland Woodruff, who stayed out late in that run but had to pit, finishes the race 1 lap down in 14th. And in 15th is Brandon King.
Philip Scott is going to be the first car 2 laps down. Matthew Rodriguez, Nick King, I believe those were the drivers that were able to finish out this race. The rest of the field wrecked out after a very tough day here at Kansas. Under the lights, lots of sparks were flying, and a lot of drivers disappointed on the way that this race went.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of drivers not disappointed in how this race went. And, that's the other part of the conversation we need to have is, that Tom Bourne, he's really starting to show that he is one of the drivers to watch late in this season. And if he can win a race, or has he won a race? I don't know if he's won a race or not, but if he does win a race, that could be a big playoff implications late in the season.
Well, as we're waiting for more drivers to hop into the results, waiting in the waiting room for interviews, we're actually going to take a quick replay here and check out this final lap of Shane Tarian and also of Justin Munsell, because this battle here at the end was probably one of the most intense battles that we could have seen that we missed out. And they come racing so hard here at the end. But we're going to take a quick look here and see. They were at the white flag battling it out.
Yeah, and like we showed going into turn 1 on 159, he tried to make a move, but he made a great move into turn 1, just like he did in 159, and got the pass done. But we'll have to see what the 83 does here.
Into 3 and 4, able to just find his way through, has to come up into Munsell. Munsell has to go through the grass and across the line. Just Shane Tarian, and then they collide afterwards. But hard racing at the end between those 2 drivers, and just wild action overall. But man, overall, Warren, great racing by everyone, and still, it was a long race for a lot, but Looks like we're starting to get drivers in here. We're now going to be talking to third place finisher Tom Bourne, who we talked to at the end of stage 1. We'll see how his thoughts are at the end of this race. Tom, it's Sam and Warren. How you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going? Feels like I just talked to you guys.
Yeah, back at stage 1, we saw that you had a very fast car, but it came down to a last pit stop. We saw that you tried to wait out as long as you could until you had to come into the pits. Was there maybe anything else that you could have done there to change things up?
Yeah, honestly, I was coming out pit road. Entry was good. Pit stop was good. Coming out pit road, just got loose. Went through the grass a little bit, and I probably lost about 2-3 seconds from that. And if I didn't do that, I probably would have been, right up there with them, because when I came out, I was about 4 seconds back. So it, that kills me. But bounced back, got past Shane and Justin to get the top 3.
Yeah, I tell you what, you had an excellent run tonight, Tom, and and being one of the newcomers, a couple races underneath your belt, you're starting to show that you could be a threat later in the season if you get a win. What's your mentality? Is it go for points at this point, or is it the other way around? Is it just go for broke?
I feel like it's I'm just going for points. I'm running my race. I'm not going out there thinking I'm going to win or anything like that. I'm gonna go out there, try and get solid points to set myself up. And if the win comes, the win comes. I'm not really. I don't feel like I'm the fastest guy in this league. I don't feel like I'm the slowest, but I feel like if I go in with the mentality of going for a win, I'm just gonna mess up.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, we saw that you were quick here in the draft, and we know that Kansas is really at the end of this thing based on how well you've protected your tires and fuel at the end. But we're going to Michigan next week. How are you feeling about going to Michigan? That's kind of similar in some fashions as it is here at Kansas.
A lot of the mile-and-a-half tracks rely on draft and momentum, and I feel like Michigan. I'm good at Auto Club, and Michigan's kind of like that. I think I've only done a couple races there, and I finished well. That's another thing. It's big on draft. That 15 and the 3 had draft. Coming out of pit road, I didn't, and I feel like that's another thing that kept me back from them. Because if I had draft, I probably could have caught them a little quicker.
Well, Tom, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank G Fuel Fire News, FRM for putting on this on every week. It's always a great time, having you guys broadcast and everything. Luminary Racing, it sucks we couldn't get 1, 2, 3 again, but hopefully we get out there and go to Michigan and get that 1, 2, 3 again. I just want to thank my girlfriend. She's watching again this week. Love you. My best friend Sydney, she's always supported me and everything like that. So and that's just the team and everyone else that watches and supports us week in and week out.
Well, that's Tom Bourne in the 54 machine, getting a third place finish here today. Tom, good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
And next up, we're going to be bringing in Travis Daly here. Travis, it's Sam and Warren. You got us, bud?
Yeah, I got you. How's it going, guys?
Well, you won stage 1, you won stage 2, and you almost got the sweep. Was there anything else that you could have done at the end? It just seemed like your tires were just shot.
Yeah, they were. I pushed a little hard once I took that last set of tires, trying to get out front and get a little bit of a gap on them, and I ran out of car.
Yeah, and we saw that you ran out of car there, but you were keeping a good pace with the leader, Mike Tellier. And we know that you had the second quickest car, if not the third quickest car tonight. The top 3 are obviously the top 3. What could you have done differently? Did you push too hard at the beginning of that run, or was it just Dylan Stipe getting in the messing you up just a bit there?
Yeah, no, I pushed way too hard at the beginning. The second to last stop, right before the end of stage 2, I took tires there. So I was on a little bit older tires. I wish I could have pushed it another couple laps before I had to pit that last time, and then I pushed it too hard at the beginning. And I was actually biding my time. I was waiting behind Mike. I was gonna make a move on the about 2 to go. Tires just gave out before I could even give that a shot.
Well, Travis, we're heading to Michigan next week, and it's pretty similar with the fact that the draft is so important there and saving your tires. How are you feeling about Michigan next week?
I'm excited. I think the team usually runs pretty good at Michigan. I think we got a decent setup for it. So we're gonna keep playing this week and fine tuning on it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for next week.
Well, Travis, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just obviously want to shout out the team here. We got Need Speed Motorsports. Had some pretty exciting news this week. We actually just merged with Warrior Wraps. They are now NSM Wraps. Brought them on under our team here, so they're a new division for us. But I want to shout out to our sponsors. We got Track Racer, Raise Energy, Butt Kicker, Pinnacle Jiu Jitsu, Rep Sports, Struggle Beyond the Decade, Shady Rays. And again, just a special shout out to all my teammates and everything for all the hard work they put in. But I was out for a couple weeks there. I had surgery about a week and a half ago, so they did a good job kind of keeping the team rolling and getting good finishes for everybody. So I'm glad to be back on the track.
It's good to see you back on the track there, Travis, and good luck next week as Travis in the 15 machine gets a second place finish here, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
As they continue to be rolling in, now we get to talk to our winner here today, Mike Tellier. Mike, it's Sam and Warren. You got us?
I got you, buddy.
Well, it seemed like Travis was right there for the final 10 laps, and then he saw him fade away. What was going through your mind once you saw that his tires gave out?
Yes. That's about it. Oh, man, I can't believe I actually got the win tonight.
I wouldn't say can't believe you got the win. I believed you got the win because this is the same, almost the same strategy you pulled at Las Vegas last time I commentated for this league. So, 2 times in a row at these tri-oval tracks, mile and a half tri-oval tracks, you've got the win with this strategy. Obviously, you think the rest of the field would smarten up, but was that the same strategy you pulled at Las Vegas, or did you say just put the tires on for the heck of it?
No, I only used the one set per stage. I made sure that I had tires at the end. I mean, I'm gambling here for the rest of the season. I'm going big or going home. I'm already locked in the playoffs, so stage points don't mean anything. I'm going for wins, and I got lucky tonight. Travis had the same strategy, it seemed, and it just worked out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, during that whole entire race, we were seeing so many cautions flailing around everywhere. Well, what was going through your mind every single time that you had to go through the field at any point during this race?
Oh, I believe I had to go through like 3 wrecks myself. It was mayhem. Like lap 1, there was someone wrecked in turn 3, and I came at a turn or off turn 2 or something. I came off this front stretch, and there's another wreck that I had to get through. And then I think Garrett Powell and Jacob Grant got together in front of me, and I happened to catch it happening before it happened. And intuition was like go low, and I got around it. It was crazy. It's good racing, but man, it's crazy.
It certainly was a wild one, even for us to watch from up here. But before we let you go, Mike, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, Total Nonstop Racing. Let's see, my kids, I know they're in bed. They got school tomorrow. Walmart Canada for hiring my ass, and I have orientation starting tomorrow, so I gotta go to bed so I can get to work. Other than that, that's about it. My teammates, Dylan, pushed me in practice all week long.
Well, that's Mike Tellier in the 3 machine getting his 3rd win of the season. We'll see if we can grab even more of them next week at Michigan. Good luck, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, Warren, as we're starting to wind down here, I mean, what were some of your final thoughts?
Well, obviously, we had a couple mini cautions tonight, but at the same time, what a race. We had great battles at the front of the field all race long, and and these races like this, that takes away from all those cautions you have, and you kind of put that in the back seat because the race was just so good at the front of the field. So amazing race, and the cluster up starting to show that they're a series that's it's quite legit.
Yeah, I mean, we almost just doubled in size compared to last week with new people joining every single week. And just look up Clutch Drop Racing Series and you'll be seeing more from them and how you can join. I mean, this league has just been blossoming into something massive and can't wait to see more drivers joining in. Like we stated, Michigan is going to be the next stop for these drivers here in the Clutch Drop Cup Series, and it's going to be a wild one for sure. It's all about fuel strategy, keeping your tires, and staying in the draft. I mean, Warren, what are some of your thoughts going into that race?
It's obviously going to be, keep an eye out on your left and your right, because at Michigan, you get such big runs that sometimes you don't even know there's a car to your outside, and that's where we see a lot of wrecks off turn 2 when drivers move up and they don't really see the car outside of them. So it's going to be definitely watching to your right and left next week at Michigan.
It certainly is. And for us here at Kansas, we have come to an end. Warren, I want to say thank you for coming in. I know that we had to swap broadcast members in and out really quick here tonight, but thank you for coming in.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Well, for us, it was a crazy race so far here at Kansas, but more racing action throughout the week. Tomorrow night, we're going to have some dirt track racing for the ASRA Racing Series, guys. They're going to be having some fun on the dirt, as well as we're going to have F1 action for the Slipstream F1 Championship. But for us here tonight, I want to say thank you again for Warren being up in the booth. For myself, Sam Dyer, you guys got to watch another presentation of the Flatout Racing Network, and we'll be seeing you next week at Michigan.